Good evening, chat. Hello. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving. Hope you guys have had a nice day. If you haven't, if you had a shitty day today so far, hey, guess what? We're going to hang out. So welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Hope everybody is doing well. Yes, it's nice. It's Thursday and the weekend. Well, 1, 2, 3. Like 4.5 day weekend has begun. I mean, I still have stuff to do, and I know a lot of you still have stuff to do, but if you don't have stuff to do, congratulations, consider yourself lucky. Calories don't count today. No, they count every day. It's just, the lies we tell ourselves. I can't sneeze. It's driving me crazy. What a tie. I can't sneeze. Help me. I can't sneeze. I can't sneeze. Please, chat, help me. I can't. All right, guys. Anyway, we are going to get to some stuff here. I know there's a lot of stuff people want to talk about, and you guys are just going to, warning, like I said before, I don't gas you guys up and tell you everything's going to be okay, or there's a bunch of stuff here you're probably not going to be happy about. I'm sure there's going to be some, scuffed titties out of this by the time we get done tonight. But overall, you're going to have to, you think you'll be okay. You'll learn stuff, and that's the most important thing here. That's the most important thing. Can't do it. I can't do it. I can't sneeze. I can't sneeze, chat. I can't sneeze. This is not good. This is not good. This is not good at all. This is going to be a rough show if I can't do this. Is going to be. I apologize in advance. So you guys, welcome to the show. My name is Sean, also known as Potentially Criminal. And I am an attorney in the Cleveland, Ohio area. Tonight, we're going to get started with some stuff here. We're going to give people a minute or two to filter in. It's only been 2 minutes. Hold on. I got to blow my nose. Give me 1 second, Jack. You ever blow your nose and you feel your ears pop? Ooh. Maddie says, look to the sky. Yeah, it's cloudy and overcast, and we got no snow. That was the most disappointing thing. They acted like it was going to be, you're going to get 8 inches of snow overnight. Get ready. Thanksgiving's canceled. And you're like, okay. And you wake up in the morning, and, they said during the day, actually, well, in the lead up to Wednesday, they said it's going to happen during Wednesday. We're going to shut down the highways. The turnpike's going to get shut down. It's going to be bad. Okay. And get to Wednesday, and it rained in the morning. And I said, but just you wait. It'll actually be tonight. So Wednesday night comes and goes. You wake up in the morning, and there's not even in the Karen Reed case, not even enough snow to track a cat. There's, little bits in between the tufts of grass. You're like, okay. And then they said, well, it's still coming. And then finally it snowed a little bit this afternoon, in a little stretch of the area here, but it's still nothing. And they're like, oh, it's going to happen tonight. It's no, it's not. It doesn't feel like it's going to happen. Trump says it's snowing where you live. Okay, well, it's not by me. Not by me at all. When did the stream start? When it started. Nico says Cleveland, Ohio is the Baltimore, Ohio. Well, that's not fair. At least Baltimore has a cool nickname, Bodymore Murderland, and a cool TV series about it. We don't have that. Snip the top of a pepper shaker. Yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that at all. If you stimulate your prostate, it'll make you sneeze. I'm good on that. I'm good on that. Caleb says, look at the light bright and inhale through your nose. The light bright? You mean like a ceiling light or what? I don't know what you guys are getting at there. I know what you're getting at there. But anyway, it's been a couple minutes. We're going to get into this. Let's get started. Ashley's been a member for 28 months. Thank you for the support. Thank you. Says happy Thanksgiving. Well, thank you. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you out there, to everybody out there. Hope it's been really nice. And I just saw this and I thought it was pretty cool. I know if this would have happened in this day and age, I'd probably have been like, okay, this is probably fake. But this happened before people really started making tons of fake shit on the internet. So if you guys probably have seen these story before where the older couple was texting somebody, hey, come on over for Thanksgiving. And the guy's like, yeah, I'm not the person you're thinking of. And they said, come on over. Well, it's still going. It's still going, 10 years ago. And, they're still doing it today, which is pretty cool. I mean, that's, like I said, this is the one thing that makes Thanksgiving the coolest holiday. It's better than Christmas. It's better. Really, I mean, like I said, 4th of July and Thanksgiving are like neck and neck right there. 4th of July wins a lot, but Thanksgiving's so cool because it's just about people. It's just about people. And that is, I mean, that's the coolest thing about it. It's about people. It's about meeting people. It's about, your friends and your family. I mean, I don't know what more you can say about it, but that is the neat thing about Thanksgiving. And I think I'm actually going to. Oh, thank God I finally sneezed. Oh. It's like when you ever have to hold in a pee and you're like, I don't know if ladies have this problem, but guys, you ever hold your pee in and then eventually you pee and you're like, oh, it feels so good. You almost like your eyes water a little bit. Oh, God, that felt so good. I could finally sneeze. Oh, that felt. Oh, amazing, amazing, amazing. Maddie B for $5 says, thanks for being here, Sean, and to all y'all. Well, yeah, thank you for everybody being here tonight. Thank you for being here tonight. EDW Raptor says, people are goose stepping in Namibia tonight. Yes, chat, I think we'll start off on that note. We will start off on that note, chat. Yes, it has been, it's very weird. It's a very weird thing, chat. I don't know if this is something you were prepared for. But a gentleman has won his re-election to a local governmental seat in Namibia, and he's got a bit of a unique name. And this is this guy right here. He's a very he appears to be a very nice guy, very nice guy. But he rerun his fifth term in office as a local counselor for an area. And his name, well, his name is Adolf Hitler. Yes, his name is Adolf Hitler. Not a joke. If you guys don't understand that, Namibia, well, God, I guess we have to bring out the map because not everybody knows where Namibia is. Namibia is a country in Africa, in southern Africa. And Namibia is it's not that weird when you learn about it if you guys know history at all, but in the world, this is Namibia. It's down there by South Africa and Botswana. But Namibia was a German colony starting in the 1880s. And you might say, wait, the Germans had colonies? Yep, they did. They had colonies. It was, part of the Great Game as the European powers vied for resources and prestige during the Victorian era into the Gilded Age. As a former German colony, after World War I, Germany's colonies were taken away from it, but at that point, things had happened. And you notice, for example, the capital of Namibia is Windhoek. And you might say, well, that sounds a little bit like Afrikaner-ish. And yes, it is. While the official language of Namibia is English, multiple native languages are recognized, but also Afrikaans and also German. So you can go to Namibia and you will find a lot of people with German fluency. And yeah, it's very interesting, and obviously that's going to be something that kind of carries over. No, Nazis did not go to Namibia to flee. That would be very dangerous because South Africa at the time was a British colony, and they were running around in here. You also had, you call it Rhodesia. At the time, they had, the British had influence everywhere. So his dad and the guy who's running it, you feel bad for him at the end of the day because he's like, it's on all the documents. I can't fix it, and it's the name my mom and dad gave me, and it's right. It's the name your mama gave you. You kind of have to roll with it. And also, apparently, his dad didn't understand or realize the dark history of it. I mean, you'd like to think that, but it's like, yeah. Well, oh well, oh well. The guy does reject any. He does reject. He had to, it's a little weird. Like he had to come out and officially state, "I do not support National Socialism." I don't think he did support it, but the fact he felt need to say that, I guess, is a little weird. But anyways, he rejects National Socialism and all its tenets, and he also apparently is a very renowned person pushing against apartheid and various issues in Africa. So there you go. And I don't think anybody in Namibia gives a fuck. Everybody else in the world, everywhere else in the world gives a fuck about this, except the people in Namibia. They voted for him. They like him. I bet he's a guy who takes care of his people. And yeah, why? Why does anybody care? I said, it's a great headline. Adolf Hitler wins re-election. You're like, what? But otherwise, people were I guarantee you there's people who are reading and screaming about this somewhere. I just thought it was like, a little bit of lightness to start the afternoon. Yeah, say, does he have a collection of stolen gold and artwork? Maybe. And Scott X says, well, I guess Kanye was right. Maybe that's who Kanye was talking about in his song. That would be hilarious if that's who Kanye was like, this is who I was talking about all along. Long King says, my family is white Namibian Ansi. Ainsley, I'm not sure how you pronounce it. I'm sorry. And called my cousin and asked about this, and he says it's kind of a running joke. I'm sure it is. To be fair, this guy used a name to raise a whole bunch of issues that we talked about. Yeah, he's able to say like, look, I fought for this, I fought for that, for my people, and doing everything there. Bella, yes. No, we didn't get to that, but yes, that is something. The Germans, just like every other colonial power, did a lot of nasty shit in Namibia. Yes, and it's something that actually the Germans have apologized for and gave reparations to the Namibian government back in the early 2000s. But yes, just like in the Congo, just like really everywhere else, there were times in the colonization where the people being colonized were like, I don't like this anymore. And the Germans said, I don't care. And were willing to kill Namibians over it and genocide some of their peoples. Well, yeah, there's some really nasty shit that happened there too. But yes, he doesn't even have a mustache. He does have a mustache. I mean, let me zoom in here on him a little bit. He does have a mustache. It's just not like the one you want, but he's got a mustache. Anyways, Africa is a very wild place. Yes, it is. Are we sure this isn't a Tropic Thunder type situation? No, it's not. It's not. Hold on one more second, chat. All right, guys, we're back. Sorry. God, I'm trying to get my nose to stop. The weird thing is, I was doing okay all day. I had no problems. We had family over. It was a great day. We had a fun time. And as soon as I walk in here, this all happens. This all happens. And I'm like, my nose is just falling apart. It's you, chat. It's you. You're the reason why. I'm allergic to you. I'm allergic to you guys. Does he play Erica when he comes on stage? No. No. Like I said, I'm sure he's a nice enough guy. So, of course, I blame chat. Well, it's true. It's true. If you want to know the truth about it, like, I come on, and this is the problem. This is the problem. Kale says, dust your damn office. Well, there's nothing, like, the door's open to my office to the house. Like, you'd think it would give me a problem there. Anyways, let's keep going here. But anyways, yeah, I thought we start off with a funny story. Ha 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 ha. All right. Now moving on. Moving on to some other stuff here, guys. The Trump case out of Georgia is officially dead. It's officially over. And you wouldn't be surprised about it, but you know, we had that issue of, remember, Fannie Willis indicted President Trump, well, at the time, former President Trump, and 18 others for fraud and other attempts to overturn the 2020 election in the state of Georgia. And remember, it was a big sweeping indictment. Multiple people pled out. They pled out to low-level felonies, and they were all given basically the ability to have their charges dismissed at the end. And then Trump and the rest did not. But remember, it was attorneys like John Eastman, Kenneth Chesebro, Sidney Powell, Jenna Ellis. They all pled out. The rest didn't. And the thing was, Fannie Willis just, couldn't get out of her own goddamn way. Couldn't get out of her own goddamn way. And of all the cases, and I still think this was probably the strongest one to get Trump on. This was one of the strongest ones to get Trump on. One of the counts specifically where Trump had to sign some documents that were used, and he had to sign a couple of things, and they were getting Trump for participating in the fraud, knowingly. They probably, I think they had him dead to rights from what I was able to research and from talking to some Georgia attorneys. That was probably the strongest charge they had of everything that was out there. It was actually pretty open and shut. But Fannie Willis, being a ratchet hoe who operates as the most skeeviest motherfucker as a politician and a district attorney, just could not be fucking shady for 5 minutes. So no, instead she used all of her money to hire her boyfriend, and then they went on trips using all the money she paid him. A lot of problems here, a lot of problems. She had the chance. She probably had the best case. And ultimately, Judge McAfee said, this case is so fucked up, either you have to quit or your boyfriend, Nathan Wade, has to quit the case. You have to choose. Now, Fannie Willis, acting like an idiot, appealed that. She appealed to the Court of Appeals, and the Court of Appeals said, actually, you both can't do it. And then from there, the Supreme Court of Georgia said, well, we're not taking this up, so it's going to die. Well, that left the case without a prosecutor and was rudderless for a while. And we talked about this a couple weeks ago. As of 2 weeks ago, Judge McAfee said somebody had to take it over. Well, the Prosecuting Attorneys Association or Prosecuting Attorneys Council in Georgia, which is a governmental entity, was charged with finding a district attorney or prosecutor to take it over. And remember, we talked about this. The guy in charge said, of the people we've talked to, the people we want to do it don't understand it and don't want to deal with it. And the people who do want to do it have their own problems. So in the meantime, the prosecuting attorney's counsel assumed control over it. Well, what happened in the meantime? Well, this has come out. This came out yesterday, hot off the press, as a certified hood classic. It is the state of Georgia versus Donald John Trump et al. And it's a motion to nolle prosequi, which means to dismiss. So what happened here? So after a thorough examination of the case, consideration of statutory law, and prior submission to a jury, the state moves to nolle prosequi. Just in general, when you hear about this, attorneys will just call it nollied, is generally how it's referred to. Serves the interest justice to promote judicial finality. The remaining defendants in this disposition meets a criteria to restrict access to the criminal history of this arrest. So that means for all remaining defendants. Well, guess who's not a remaining defendant? Kenneth Chesbrough, Sidney Powell, Jenna Ellis. They're not a remaining defendant. They're not remaining defendants, so this only applies to those who didn't plea out. So that is what's happening there. Now, what does this mean? It's been dismissed without prejudice. It has not been dismissed with prejudice, meaning it can't ever come back. Theoretically, this could come back at some point, but who can do it? Nobody can do it at this point. Fannie is the DA, and she can't bring it, and nobody else wants to bring it, so it's just going to sit there and die. It's going to die a quiet death. So the case is over. Now, what does this mean, though, for people who are like Jenna Ellis and everybody else who pled out? Well, their pleas are still valid. This is no different than, think about it like this. If, guys who robbed a bank go to trial and the first guy up pleads out, and then the other guys sit there and wait, and after a while the prosecutor dismisses the charges against them, well, the other guy already pled out. Sorry, it's over. Or let's say the first guy goes to trial, gets convicted. The other three go to trial, like 4 guys in a bank robbery, and they all get acquitted. Sorry. That first guy is in trouble. So it sucks yes, Justice Smith is right. For those people, it sucks to suck. And that's true. Now, remember, for those guys, they'll get their records sealed. They got basically diversionary cases, so they're on diversion tracks. So they'll get their stuff sealed and taken care of soon enough. But the rest of them never had to plea, so they just get to walk. So this is... Anonymous, is this a case refuting the turkey pardon? No, and I'm surprised no district judge tried to say Trump couldn't pardon the turkeys, but they apparently were okay with that. Apparently they were okay with that. And give me 1 second. I gotta hold on, chat. I gotta do this. I know, and I know people were worried about this, but at the end of the day, it was going to cost so much money. Who was actually going to be able to prosecute this? I don't think it was going to. I don't think it was going to work that way. And yes, Spud Gun is right. Nobody talks, everybody walks. That is always something to live by. Don't talk, and if nobody talks, everybody can walk. Yep, and look what happened. Kept your mouth shut, and they let Fannie Willis destroy herself. And as I said, once again, this was probably one of the stronger cases. I think far stronger than the shit in New York. They had him dead to rights. But Fannie Willis just couldn't get out of her own fucking way. And, yeah, she helped him out. So each one of these people should be sending Fannie Willis a Christmas card. Thank you for ruining my fucking prosecution. Because that is what she did for them. That is what she did. So, yeah. Everybody Talks is a great song. Well, yes, that is true. Torgo the White says, my God, Donald Trump came in with the steel chair. No, actually, this is more like Pokemon, and it's Fannie Willis used corruption, and it hurt itself in the confusion. So that's more appropriate here. This, Bago Kang. No, this is Fannie Willis attacking herself, or much like the idea of kind of what destroyed the USS Tang in World War II. And this is the thing the Germans had problems with too. They'd fire a torpedo and it would do what's called a circle run. So you'd shoot the torpedo out, and it would go woo, bam, just the way the gyroscopes worked in it. Sometimes that would happen to torpedo that killed a couple U-boat commanders that way too, are suspected of dying from that. So yes, she shot herself in the foot. She shot herself entirely in the foot. And yeah, there you go. There you go. For want of a horseshoe nail, for the simplest things. Yes, Kino Casino is back tomorrow night. Correct. Ever Scott says Fanny's going to be so angry. No, I'm sure she's going to say I did everything right. She's going to pull a dark side Phil. I did nothing wrong. Blah 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 blah. But really, it was Fanny's choice. It's Fanny's choice to do it the way she did it, and yeah, it's not acceptable. It's not acceptable. But it's just, like I said, that's a thing here for you. Now we're gonna get, actually, we got a thing or two to get forward in here, but we're gonna move on to something people sent, and they said, somebody messaged me about this, and it was something I was going to cover when it came out, but they thought it wasn't fair these guys got charged. And I understand that their thoughts here, but this goes to show you conspiracy and how far you can go for a conspiracy and how far this can actually happen. So what this concerns is Haiti. And this is the guys who tried to launch or were preparing to do a coup in Haiti. And you might say, well, how much worse can it be in Haiti since there's a guy named Barbecue running fucking Haiti? Well, that's true. That's true. But if you guys don't understand Haiti here, this is just real quick. The island of Hispaniola. You've got two countries on it. You have the Dominican Republic. And this is the dividing line. This is the border. And on the other side, you have the nation of Haiti. Haiti. If you like Miss Cleo. Now, from here, inside Haiti, obviously the capital is Port-au-Prince, and we've talked about some of the issues Haiti's had. And Haiti's had a long history of revolution and lawlessness. Obviously, they had their uprising back in the 1800s, and you get through like the Duvaliers and going forward to now a guy named Barbecue running the show. Well, you have Gonave Island. It's an island. It's about 100,000 people live on it, and it's an island. It's part of Haiti. It's nothing special. But two guys here in America were indicted for wanting to go take it over. And you might say, well, wait, how does that work? Yes, where a Marine once was king, yes. So these guys hatched a plan, and it sounds ridiculous. And you're like, but wait, these guys sound crazy. How did they get... Well, so they wanted to take over the island. They wanted to take over this island, and it was two guys there in their 20s. And their idea was they were going to murder all the men on the island. So they're going to have to kill about 50-some thousand people and enslaving the women and children as sex slaves. And it's just like, wait, what? Huh? Wait, how's this going to work? Now, you might say, well, wait, how can it work if they can't, don't you have to be able to carry out what it is? And we're going to get to that. Katie says this story is about two people in this chat. Well, I'm thinking most of the, I not speak for chat, but I will speak for chat. It's my chat. I have the feeling more people in this chat would be they wouldn't stop at halfway of eliminating people. So Popcorn Power says, were these guys bullshitting around beer? It does not look like that. Does not look like that. Now, what does all this mean? Because here is, these guys were engaging in some activity and stuff here. So it then becomes, what exactly did they do? What exactly did they do? Well, they have an indictment, and it's, you're just like, well, what the fuck did these guys do that led to these guys wanting to conduct this thing here? So you go through it and you start talking about Gavin Weisenberg and Tanner Thomas were residents in the Eastern District of Texas. And they talk about, so how'd this start? Well, obviously, just having a beer, Popcorn Power, isn't enough to get you in trouble. Obviously, well, if you follow the Gretchen Whitmer case, it may be enough at times. So just be careful. But, through 2024 and into 2025, they developed a plan to recruit and lead an unlawful expeditionary force to travel by sailboat. And that's where, you're already like, can these guys afford any of this? They're going to recruit a band of mercenaries. They're going to recruit a band of mercenaries. They're going to show up in a sailboat. So they point out that Haiti is a sovereign nation. And the island is an island off Haiti's coast near Port-au-Prince. And it has 87,000 residents. So what was their plan? It was to carry out a coup d'etat. And we talked about this before with the guys. We talked about this before. The guys who were in the Congo, the Americans who went to the Congo and tried to do a coup d'etat there, and they got caught and then sent back and they were charged. There's only one There's only one group in America that's in the destabilizing government's business, and it's not you. That's the U.S. government's job, or whoever they let do it. Now here's where it gets to with a conspiracy. You have to do something to further a conspiracy. You have to do things in furtherance of it. Merely just talking about it's not enough. Are you planning it? Did you buy stuff? You have to show steps towards achieving that goal that are pretty serious. Now, what did they do here? Well, it's not just the one thing alone. It's a couple different things they did. And somebody already asked, what are they paying people with? Well, we're going to get to that. Because remember, as we learned from The Rock, mercenaries get fucking paid. So they said that they were going to take control of the island. They were going to murder all the men. And then they were going to turn the women and children into their sex slaves. It's like, this is some real Coomer shit right here. So now what they were going to do? They were going to recruit and hire members of Washington, D.C.'s homeless population to be part of their unlawful force. An army of hobos does not sound very reliable. This doesn't sound very reliable, but once again here. Now, this is where kind of okay, did they do enough? They researched weapons and ammunition. Okay, but they what do they do? Go on Wikipedia? Probably. And this is where you can see, well, that sounds pretty banal, pretty benign to say, oh, I went on Wikipedia and started looking gun stuff up. And I plan to buy guns. Well, that seems pretty benign. But once again, it's remember, guys, a wall is built of many bricks. And eventually you have enough bricks that make a wall. Or just like a flood. One raindrop is not a flood, but a million raindrops can be. Oh my gosh, chat. Oh my gosh. Yes, they were going to make the ultimate bum fights. The ultimate bum fights. Volume 1, yes. Jim Cox says, how many cliches to build a wall? I don't know the answer to that, but you'll know. Yes, write war games on your invasion plans. Uh, okay, Neither is like, is it really a million raindrops? We can do the math. Oh my god, just you're killing me here. Yeah, it's all about substantial step, but it's if you do a bunch of things, that could be a substantial step. So what were they going to do? So how did the manner and means of the conspiracy? And they're going to explain to you how this happens. Because initially here you're like, I don't think that's enough, but we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. So they want to do the military expedition, and they wanted to go. They planning, scouting targets, identifying methods. Identifying methods of subduing and murdering the male population. Like, we're gonna kill them. How? We're going to shoot them. This part, I'm like a little like everybody would like. That's pretty obvious. Pretty obvious. Shredder says, "How many steps to make a substantial step?" That's a case by case basis, and that's where we get to. They recruited others to join the enterprise. I mean, in some cases, they recruited personnel in exchange for money. They were going to do this by purchasing a sailboat, and they had one of the members to obtain training and sailing the boat. But notice it's planning. They actually didn't have anybody go out and learn. It's planned. Yeah, are these like the Palestine people with that? Yeah. So they planning to acquire firearms. It's planning to acquire, not acquiring. Ammunition and explosives to be transported by sailboat. They planned for one member to enlist in the U.S. military for the purpose of obtaining military training useful in carrying out their armed attack. And this right here, when I read this before, the idea that you're going to join the Army or the Air Force or the Marines, and you're really going to have enough skills and things learned that you would be able to effectively help destabilize a government, just as the basic training we would give to any private or anybody like that is absolutely fucking ridiculous. I mean, you would need to be going to you would need to be going to special forces selection and passing that selection and getting through the SF pipeline as a Green Beret to learn about the operations and everything necessary to engage in these types of operations where you are equipping and training a force you are going to destabilize a foreign government. The idea you could just do that, it just doesn't work that way. Like, just join the military as like Private Snuffy does not give you the resources and training for that. The plan was for one member to join first responder training, specifically firefighter school, for the purpose of learning, and this is once again, learning command and control protocols. How? Like, what is it? Firefighters are learning, disaster management. But even then, if you're a basic firefighter and you go to a basic firefighting school, you don't learn that stuff. That's stuff for higher up the chain. So, for example, like if you are running a ladder company, or if you're a battalion chief, or you're the head of a volunteer fire department, if you're firefighter, Snuffy, if you're just like Bob the firefighter, you don't really know that stuff. You don't learn that stuff right away. So the idea that these guys would have actually learned anything, I think, is a little ridiculous here. Yes, stop, drop, and roll. Then overthrow. And they said communicating over social media platforms with each other in person and to plan the attack. It's like, but when you read this, you're like, I still don't know. When I read these, I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Then you get to the overt acts, and I'm like, well, I hope these are convincing. So in furtherance of stuff, what do? They made operational logistical plans to overthrow the Republic of Haiti. Okay, well, specifically. They engaged in Haitian Creole language training, which I can't imagine if these guys are that fucking stupid, they actually were able to do anything. Like, I doubt these guys could learn a foreign language. And what do? Fire up Duolingo? And then in January, this guy enlisted in the United States Air Force to obtain military training. There is no amount of military training he's going to get that would help him unless he's joining the special warfare pipeline for the United States Air Force. And even then, being a PJ, like if he went to be a PJ, a pararescueman, or let's say he went to go be a combat controller, those guys augment SF units and other, special mission units. So this doesn't really, it's so stupid. It's not going to do shit. Now, he claims he was enlisting to further their planned armed attack, which just... then the other guy enrolled in the fire academy. Then he failed out of school and was dismissed. Imagine that. The guy who wants to take over Haiti couldn't hack firefighter training. Like, imagine how big of a fucking flake this guy was. Imagine how big of a flake he was. I just, yeah. Yes, they were going to steal an F-16 like an Iron Eagle. Yes. Drop the Hydra on everybody. So they then purchased plane tickets and went to Thailand, enrolling in a sailing school. That's totally why he went to Thailand, was just to learn how to sail a boat. That was when I saw this. It's like, yeah, I'm sure he went to go do some other stuff in Thailand, because you couldn't learn that here in Texas. Yes, the Coomer Commandos. Yes. What's in Thailand? He ultimately did not enroll in the sailing school due to cost. I'm sure that's how it totally worked out. Like, oh, darn, I don't have enough money to go to sailing school. I guess I'm just going to have to go have sex with ladyboys in Thailand. Oh, darn. So then they attempted to recruit others. So what did they do? The one guy changed his assignment from Ramstein to Andrews Air Force Base in Maryland, just outside of D.C., and allowed him to go recruit homeless people to serve as members of their force. I don't know how that would work, but trusting homeless people for OPSEC wouldn't work. But yes, this is a law. You can't do this, chat. The conspiracy to kidnap or kill persons in a foreign country. You're not allowed to plan that. Just like people who go to Thailand or other places for sex tourism and they engage in violent sexual crimes against children or other people you couldn't do here in America, the U.S. government asserts jurisdiction over you for that. So you might say, but I didn't do it here. Well, they don't care. Remember, there's only one group of people in the coup d'etat business, and it's not you. It's the CIA. Now, they may hire you to do it, and then you have protection. So they talk about what these guys did. They agreed to, with each other and others, to commit in any place outside the United States an act that would constitute the offense of murder or kidnapping if committed in the special maritime and territorial jurisdiction of the United States. And in doing so, they committed an act to affect any object of the conspiracy. In furtherance of this, they committed the overt acts. And count 2, sexual exploitation of children, production of child pornography, aiding and abetting. You're like, wait, what? They were only in charge of doing stuff. Well, this is where we get to what actually happened to these guys. And hold on one more second, chat. All right. Access. Wait, is this Andrew Tate's idea? I mean, it sounds like something Andrew Tate would do. So what happened from here? So these guys did, and this is where things happen. They're a little different here. So they did employ, persuade, entice, or induce, or coerce a minor to engage in sexually explicit conduct for the purpose of producing any visual depiction of such conduct. and they knew or had reason to know such depiction would be transported and transmitted via interstate and foreign commerce, and the such depiction was produced using materials that had been mailed, shipped, transported, or affected interstate and foreign commerce. So specifically, they did entice and coerce minor victim one, a known minor to the grand jury, to engage in sexually explicit conduct for the purpose of visual depictions of such conduct. To wit, a video entitled, and they did aid and abet each other to do the same on the internet. Now, before you say, oh, wow, the feds are involved, so it's child porn, it's like, does it really surprise you that these guys have child porn on them? No, it's not really a surprise. So here's the neat thing. Even if all this other stuff, the whole we're going to take over Haiti thing gets dismissed, which I think it should, I don't see how they have enough here. These guys are such pieces of shit with child porn. It's like they're going to get their getting on that end. So that's the good news. That's the good news. They should be facing that. So yeah, and they don't have it on. They produced it. Yes, they enticed a child to make to engage with them in this. So whether they do that thing on Roblox where they trick kids into doing it or something, we don't know. But either way, these guys are pieces of shit. So while up here, these guys might have been idiots for count one, they might have been tards. For count two, fire up the wood chipper and they can have fun in federal pound in the ass prison. Popcorn Power says this is just charging an easy plea deal on the child porn. I could see that, but I mean, it's also the DOJ. The DOJ does do retarded stuff at times. So who really knows? Who really knows these guys are doing that? But yeah, so there you go. So that was the bigger thing here, because people are like, can you really get in trouble for thinking about this? I said, you got to do a lot. And these guys did a lot more than just talking about it, but also they had child porn and were making child porn. So it's like, if you're not doing all the stuff they're doing, nobody's really going to know about or care about what you're doing. So while you might say, well, they didn't commit the conspiracy, it's like, fine, but they're fucking pedophiles. So good riddance. I mean, Copium, friend of the show, says, but what about the child porn? Yes, what about it? Matty B says, no, we should use the smaller wood chippers you could buy at Home Depot, so it takes longer. Well, yeah, but after a while, they're going to be dead. So then you're just like that guy in Fargo, just, like Peter Stormare shoving a leg into the chipper. It's like, no, at that point, you get the Vermeer and just right through. So, Clippy says you have to put these things into motion, not just go to boating school. Well, they did a little bit, but if they didn't have this child porn case attached to it, I don't think there's enough here to indict, really, at the end of the day. Yeah, that's it. You're getting the Harbor Freight shipper only. Jeez, that would be rough. Yes, they want a free trip on the helicopter excursion. Yeah, I think so. But, yeah, couldn't happen to nicer people. So are you, and hold on here. Lola Holmes saying, did they really have the CP? Oh, I'm betting they did. Or was it backdoored on their phones, courtesy of the Glowies? I doubt it. I really doubt it in this situation. So, do we know who was funding the expedition? I doubt anybody was funding it. Like, these guys had no money. They weren't thinking about what they were doing here. I'm sure that's it. So no, nobody was funding it because they had no money. If I had to guess. So I know people were worried about, like, well, what does this mean? What happens? And it's like, okay, it's not that Not that big a deal. These guys are pieces of shit. Like, write them off and move along. Write them off and move along. Okay, now moving. France just shut Shane down for child. Really? Wow. Well, thank you for the heads up on that. Interesting. They're going to be funded by plunder. Well, you have to have some like operating capital to start when you're engaging in a expeditionary plan like this. So, fuck those guys anyway. This is now something we're going to address here. This is something that came out recently, and I know people are kind of they have their thoughts about it. This is, remember, these people are talking. These are various people in the House and Senate. So Senator Alyssa Slotkin, former CIA operative. Yes, this hostile coup is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. Use promo code PLUNDER. Anyway, this is Alyssa Slotkin. You see Mark Kelly, naval aviator and astronaut. You see a couple other people on here too. But we're going to get to these. This is something that happened, came out last week, and I know a lot of people were all fired up about it. And we're gonna start this, and we'll go from there.
I'm Senator Alyssa Slotkin.
Senator Mark Kelly.
Representative Chris DeLuzio.
Congresswoman Maggie Goodlander.
Representative Chrissy Houlihan.
Congressman Jason Crow. I was a captain in the United States Navy.
Former CIA officer.
Former Navy.
Former paratrooper and Army Ranger.
Former intelligence
officer, and also married to Jake Sullivan, former national security advisor to Joe Biden. You're like, that one, this is like one of the sketchiest things. Like, you got to see, But hey, that's politics.
officer.
Former Air Force.
We want to speak directly to members of the military
And the intelligence community.
who take risks each day.
To keep Americans safe.
We know you are under enormous stress and pressure right now.
Americans trust their military.
But that trust is at risk.
This administration is pitting our uniformed military
And intelligence community professionals.
against American citizens. Like us, you all swore an oath.
To protect and defend this Constitution.
Right now, the threats to our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad,
But from right here at home. Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
you must refuse illegal orders.
To be fair, his is actually correct. In the military, you have an obligation to refuse an illegal order. Not you can. There's actually you must refuse illegal orders. You shouldn't be carrying out illegal orders. So I get what they're trying to say, but he's actually correct in the actual statement of that.
No one has to carry out orders that violate the law.
or our Constitution.
We know this is hard and that it's a difficult time to be a public servant.
But whether you're serving in the CIA,
In the Army,
Our Navy,
The Air Force.
your vigilance is critical
and know that we have your back.
because now, more than ever,
The American people need you.
We need you to stand up for our laws.
our Constitution,
and who we are as Americans. Don't give up.
don't give up.
Don't give up.
Don't give up the ship.
Okay, and yes, I talked about this. I think we talked about this last night just briefly. The "don't give up the ship" thing. It is a from the dying commander of the USS Lawrence. He said, "Don't give up the ship. Refuse to surrender," as they were being attacked in the War of 1812. Became the rallying cry for the U.S. Navy in the War of 1812 and afterwards. And it was, the rallying cry that Oliver Hazard Perry carried into the Battle of Lake Erie. So it's a thing. It's part of Navy lore and history. So what did they do? What happened here? Well, that's correct. You must not follow an illegal order. You must refuse it. And been there, done that says you also must follow legal orders. Now, notice that itself, stating the law, is never illegal. And there have been times where, like, you've heard, like, Tom Homan, and he'll be like, oh, it's illegal to say this or that. It's illegal to tell people what their rights are. No, it's not. It's not illegal to tell anybody their rights. But in this context, and this is the thing here, like, we know. And this is where, we know. We know what they're getting at. Well, what's an illegal order? well, if the orange man's going to tell you to do something, like what's an illegal order? And notice we have all these court cases coming out saying what's illegal or ultra vires. Well, don't follow illegal orders. Wink, 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 wink. So we know what they're getting at. We know what they're getting at. They know that we know that too, and they know what they're doing, and we know they know what they're doing, and they know that we know that. And they still do it anyway. So clearly, what is going on here? Well, it's a couple of things. And we're seeing this. I know Angry Cops covered this a little bit previously, and he's talked about this. But you're starting to see things like this pop up on the internet. You're starting to see these out in Fayetteville, North Carolina. These are billboards, actual billboards that are out there saying, "Did you go to Airborne just to pull security for ICE?" And it says, not what I signed up for.org is the website. If you go to not what I signed up for.org, it's this stuff here. It says, you saw the billboard, you have questions, you're not alone. And it says, here's steps you can take to reduce risk. Access things from your personal stuff. Well, that's always a good idea. Don't use company work computers to do stuff. Use an encrypted Proton Mail email account. That's never a bad idea. Use Signal app. That's never a bad idea either if you want to maintain OPSEC. They use a virtual private network like NordVPN. I mean, yeah, but at the end of the day, that's you're bigger on using these things. Proton Mail and Signal are very good OPSEC principles. Keopathic says, the Marine Corps had the chess and demon commercial in my day. My service is definitely not what I signed up for. Yeah, are you going to say it's like it's like a Generation Kill when they talk about, I signed up because the guy killed the lava monster with the sword. Yes. Post-op security. Well, that's a different security. That's a different security. That's a different security. Jordan Bemke is saying, just to be clear, the illegal orders are the orders that do not help Israel. Well, shh. Yes, that's going to be an issue there. It's going to be an issue there. Why do I keep going on stream? Because I'm sneezing and I'm trying not to sneeze and blow my nose because I look really awful when I'm doing it. So, yes, the illegal orders are obvious. Like, don't shoot civilians. Like, go out there and shoot those civilians. Well, we can't do that, sir. You're shooting prisoner of war. Can't do that. But that's what they're doing here. This is all being done as an op. It's all an op. It's all the subtle destabilization that's being done during a color revolution and things like that. Well, in response to all of this, Mark Kelly was he was an officer in the Navy. He was a naval aviator, and he was, then became an astronaut, and he retired from the military. The thing is, when you're a commissioned officer, you are subject to recall. And one of the things that can happen is you can be disciplined as well under the Uniform Code of Military Justice. And you might say, well, wait, that doesn't sound fair. Hey, the UCMJ operates under a far different rule set than regular civilian law. Now, Pete Hegseth has said, I'm going to convene we're going to do a courts martial. And remember, it's called a courts martial. To do all this, nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to happen to these guys. Nobody's getting charged with sedition. Nobody's getting charged. Nobody's going to get sent to like Fort Leavenworth. Nobody's going to get hanged. Nothing's going to happen to anybody. Nothing's going to happen to anybody. And that's something I just wanted to explain here. He's not going to face any of that. There's a long way to go with the way these things work in the UCMJ. And the UCMJ is, Uniform Code of Military Justice, is a very big on you have to follow procedure, and a lot of things have to all happen. So hold on one second, chat. I'm about to sneeze again. Give me a second here. Okay, we're back. Sorry. So once again, even though we know what they mean, I know what they mean. That's not enough. It's not enough. It's not enough. But anyway, let's say you had enough. Let's say you had an email where Mark Kelly's like, ha 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 ha, fuck these people. We're good. La la ha 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 ha. And then let's say you, to even make it more, you had video of him going like, ha 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 ha, I'm staring at the camera. Yes, I'm typing all this out. Yes, ha 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 ha, sedition. Let's say you had all that. And then as that happened, somebody was sitting there, like multiple people were signing affidavit. It's like making fun of it's like Dave Chappelle talking about the R. Kelly thing. Like she needs to be sitting there on camera with 2 forms of ID. R. Kelly's grandma's on the corner going, yeah, that's my Robert peeing on everybody. Let's say you have all that. You still need to go through a lot of things before you even get to the idea of a courts martial. You still have a long way to go for that. And it's not going to happen. There has to be investigation initially. An official investigation has to happen. It's got to get referred by military officers to be referred for prosecution. There are hearings and steps along the way before you even get there. So there's a lot of things along the way. And, once again, Mark Kelly can say, I was just telling people the law. And you know what? Even though that's not the case. This all goes back to, and we hear, when we get in charge, we're going to hold everybody accountable and everybody's going to answer for what they've done. That it's all meant to scare people like that. And yes, this is going to get a lot of lower level NCOs and lower enlisted fucked over because they're going to start screwing themselves over. But what's going to happen? Nothing. A lot has to happen before you even get to the idea of a court martial. And he's going to be able to have a valid defense of saying, I was just telling people to follow the laws, reminding people of their general orders that they have no obligation to follow an illegal order. And in fact, their obligation is to disobey an illegal order. So that's really where it's going to go. It's going to die. And once again, you may know what he's thinking. And he may know, and you know, he knows that he's doing it. You know that he's doing it, and he knows that you know. And he does it anyway. There's nothing that's going to happen there. Yes, are these people doing shit like this? Yes. But that's what's not going to happen there. And yeah, there are catch-alls in the military that allow them to do things. There are catch-all orders of a general article, are you, and this is a good example of it. Somebody's brought it up, and this is an actual example of some things here. Pitchluck says, when in doubt, UCMJ Article 134. Yes. Those specifically, and I mentioned this chapter, all disorders and neglects to the prejudice of good order and discipline of the armed forces. And this is what they refer to it as, the good order and discipline. That's what they're going to, would this even work? Probably not, because all he did is, I just told people what to do. I reminded them of the law. And that's going to work. I don't see how he would even be guilty here or found guilty of any sort of discipline. I don't see how that would work here. So ultimately, this is not going to work against him. So instead of Navy captain's pay, he instead gets an O1 pay. I mean, theoretically, they could reduce him in rank and all stuff like that, but it's not going to happen. And but the process is the punishment. I understand that, but there's not enough here. And the military is a lot more restrictive on, yes, while JAG officers in the military can have a lot of leeway on things, I don't see how this gets going. I don't see how it gets going. And unlike Letitia James and James Comey, they don't have them dead to rights here. So it's not going to work, and I don't support it at that point. There's not enough to get him going here. There's not enough to get him going. So I know people were like, oh, but Mark Kelly's fucked. Nope, he's not. He's not. Don't worry about it. So let's see. He's going to get sentenced of butt sex. Do you think they can recall him move his rank, though? You have to be to be your rank removed, a reduction in rank, that's something you still have to recall you for, though. And you have due process. They can't just take your rank. He's allowed to challenge it. So he would have to have a courts martial for that. Even if they tried to like do other things to him because he's an officer, I don't think they can do like an Article 15 for him necessarily. But even at those types of hearings, he would have the right to challenge all of that. He has the right to challenge all of it, and he would win. He would win because they said things that were legal. Oh, did I say that? That's not what I meant. And that's all it takes. That's all it takes. Even though they know what they said, we know what they said, and they know that we know. That's all it takes. So, people are worried about this. Nope. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. This is nothing that's going to happen. It's a plausible deniability. Well, that's how you smartly tiptoe all around. That's how you smartly tiptoe all around. Michael Gelke is saying, can't you consider the totality of their statement, other statements where they say the National Guard orders to support ICE are illegal? No, because I think they could argue, I think that they have the right to say, I think that's an illegal order. They have the right to say that. So no, I don't think that would work that way. I understand, and I agree with you. This is how it's being orchestrated, but under the law, that wouldn't be enough. So, Quippy saying, is this a sign that they're scared of where things are heading? Maybe. I mean, yes, the idea is they wouldn't be using the propaganda and all the tactics if they weren't concerned about things. Yeah, I mean, that is true. That is true. Caitlin saying they ran it past a JAG lawyer. Well, even then, if they did, I don't think they had to. I don't think they would have worried about that. They probably ran it past some lawyers who have prior JAG experience, sure, but I think that they know they're well and they're safe within their bounds. And yeah, I think they're totally within the lines. You may not like that, but they are totally within the lines. Tyler Kigeo saying there's also non-judicial punishment for the active members. None of those guys are active. They're all out. So you can't do anything to them. Kat says, I've seen a lot of active duty. Jag says he's absolutely fried. I have no clue either way. I don't think so. I don't think anything's going to happen to him. I mean, I don't think so. But hey, if the guys who do it for real fucking rope them in to go to break rocks at Fort Leavenworth, okay. I just don't think they can. When will you get charged for wearing a uniform wrong? Not really something I'm worried about. So he's allowed to wear it. So yeah, that's the thing. Officers don't get NJPs to my knowledge. That's what I thought too. Yeah, that's the thing here. If his shit's not right, he just gets mocked for it, but nothing else can happen. So I mean, and he's also out. You can't do anything about that. Let's see. Maybe the Serb squad is needed to be ready. No, like I told you guys, it's not time. When it's time, you'll know. When it's time, I'll tell you. But also, you'll know. You'll walk outside because all your neighbors will be like, hey, man, it looks like it's time. It's not time. It's not time. It's not time. Can they have their security clearances revoked? Yeah, but that doesn't require any of that. The intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard can revoke security clearances. Pete Hegseth can revoke security clearances. Yeah, that's something that can be revoked. But I think because they're elected, they're still entitled to access things. So even if you revoke it, they're elected officials, so they're going to keep those. It's kind of like Barack Obama. You can't he wouldn't pass a security clearance in real life, but because he's president, they have to make the shit work. So wait until NCIS gets a hold of his communications. They're not even going to do that. Not even going to happen. Not even going to happen. Let's see here. Yeah, the UCMJ does have weird legal processes, though. It does, but I will tell you guys, the UCMJ has a lot of things that the U.S., like, as citizens, and I've said this before, the UCMJ provides a lot of different protections that were automatic to them, like Miranda rights. Those existed in the military as part of the UCMJ, like different criminal protections. We only got later in time, post World War II. So the UCMJ does a lot to protect people, but also it does fuck people in different ways, especially things like non-judicial punishments and things like that. So, Swa80 is saying, who's the reference to World War II guy? I don't know what you mean. Let me see here. Hold on. What are you guys? I was just on the porch. It's a no-go right now. Yeah. I mean, if you look outside your window and your neighbors aren't all standing around, it's not time. And I think that's a good gauge. Like I said, I learned that from a very, very, very wise man. So, let's see here. Oh, Swab says, who is the reference to World War II guy? No, a guy named Adolf Hitler literally won election. He literally won an election. So, as I told you guys, yeah, it's all bluster. Don't worry about it. Nothing's going to happen. Not even anything could happen. Even though we know what they're doing, nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to happen. So, you guys can, like I said, re-inscree and piss and shit your pants. Nothing's gonna happen. Nothing is gonna happen. Nothing is going to happen. Oh, shoot. I think I deleted the wrong thing there. Okay. Let's see. Where are... Okay. Going on to here, guys. If you guys remember the Slenderman case, the stabbings, where the two girls took their friend into the woods, and they were like the age of... they were kids at the time. They were 12, and they stabbed their friend to death and murdered her, claiming they were impressing Slenderman, who was like, some of that internet creepypasta shit. Yeah, you're just like, real, like, you're like, there's no way that's real. There's no way that's 100% real. But guess what? It is real. It was a real thing that really did happen. And you're like, there's no fucking way. There's no fucking way. And from here, why is this? Sorry, chat. My nose is killing me tonight. Not to death. They tried to kill her. They tried. It didn't work. I'm sorry. You're correct. Yeah, she's still alive. My bad. As they did all of this, Morgan Geyser we talked about this a little bit. She got released from the supervision that she was under. She's basically in the nut hut. She was in the state mental hospital, and she could be there for up to 40 years and also into a prison sentence. And she got released to a halfway house. Well, she got put into a halfway house this spring, and a couple days ago, she cut her ankle monitor off. And she ran away. And she was found a couple days later out of Wisconsin in the state of Illinois. And this is just an issue of she wasn't hiding very well. Well, she's not. I mean, she's got a lot of mental health issues. And from there, she got caught. And it's what happened here. This stuff is really fucking weird. That's going on. What she got found out with and where she got found. Now it's, yeah, she crossed state lines, unlike Kyle Rittenhouse. But it's weird what happened from here, because when you read, like, it's one thing to get caught, catch your ankle monitor and run away. Like, that happens all the time. Yeah, she has legitimate mental health issues. And you see what happened from here, you're just like, how the fuck did this happen? But anyway, she got arrested, and she got arrested with, well, this is her upon her arrest, and this is the person she got arrested with. And you're like, oh boy. Totally, this mentally ill person who's 20 years older than her totally didn't prey upon the person who has other mental health issues. And yeah, this is totally didn't turn out to be an issue at all. Totally. And that's the thing here. I think, Morgan Geyser did what she did. I don't know if she should have been released, but they put her into a halfway house where this guy, because this is a guy, fucking groomed her and put her in a position where she cut her ankle monitor and shit. And, I get it. We don't want to incarcerate people. We don't want to keep them locked up. But she probably needed that. Because look what happened. We put her into a halfway house. She hung out with they put her in a halfway house with some other mentally ill people, and look what happened.
Please let her go.
And this is when the police found them. They were sleeping on the sidewalk outside of a gas station. And, here you go.
Please let her go.
Then give me your name.
I did something wrong.
What did you do
She doesn't
wrong?
know what I did.
Okay, that's fine. I ain't.
Let me talk to you over here.
What is it that you did wrong?
I did something really wrong.
What?
47 and Cicero.
What did you do wrong?
47 and Cicero. By the 500 here.
It's not that. It can't be that serious.
Charlie X-ray 3727.
What was it?
We have to identify. Okay, whether you agree.
And what is your name? What's happening? We don't want problems with you, okay? We just need to ID you. That's it.
Okay.
What did you do wrong?
4 or 5 days, maybe even a week. See if
What?
they come back. Okay. Unless it's
She doesn't know my real name.
Okay. Well,
But
give him your real
you can give
name.
me your
Don't
real
tell
information.
him.
I don't care about her rights because you know, too. Right? Can't give you information.
And from here, guys, she gave him her name and they arrested her. And she's going to get extradited back to Wisconsin. This is a situation where she was in treatment. Oh, he wasn't in the house with her. He's crawling through the window. Okay, thank you, Pebble Beach. I apologize. Thank you for correcting me. Either way, she was in a situation where she's getting preyed upon by people. And now she's in this situation. This is... This is not, yes, she did something, and it's clear she's got mental health issues. But we put her out into public, and then this happened. And this is very much, I think, a situation where we set her up to fail. And society set her up to fail. The court system set her up to fail. I get it. You don't want to incarcerate her. You don't want to keep her locked up. But she clearly was easily manipulated. Like, it took a handful of months, and she's cutting her monitor and running off. So it's just it's not fair to her. And I know people are like, oh, lock her up or whatever. I think this person truly is in serious mental health issues. They need help. And letting her out, yeah, this was not... How old was she when she stabbed the girl? 12 years old. 12 years old. She's 23 now. So she's basically been, for half of her life, been institutionalized and incarcerated. And she is schizophrenic. Yeah, I think that's probably what's going on there. And at the end of the day, though, she got released, and now she's probably going to get violated, and then she's going to get sent back. And what did we do? How did we help her? Oh, well, she got released, and she got to be out in the community. Okay, now you're putting her in prison, or you're going to put her in, you're going to recommit her. How is that fair to somebody like this? How is that fair to somebody like this? So she's qualified to live in Western Washington. Yeah. Yeah, she has early onset schizophrenia with hallucinations. Yeah. And she has the whole alphabet. I bet she does. I bet she does. It's just not fair what they did to her. And I don't think it's... Yeah, the revolving door revolves again. And this is actually a good example of it. I don't think she probably should have been released. I understand on her side, her people that are representing her, the attorney she hired, and the people involved, their job's to get her out. But this is where the court just stepped in and said, putting her there doesn't help her. And now look where we are. She's in a situation where fucking weirdos are interacting with her and grooming her and shit. Oh, well, it's sad. This is actually really fucking sad to me. So, did she stop taking meds? I don't know what happened to her. But here's the deal. When you're schizophrenic, when you have a lot of mental health issues, even people with not a lot of mental health issues, it's easy to get them off kilter. I'm sure someone like her, I mean, think about this fucking goofball that fucking convinced her to run away. How hard was that to do? Probably not that hard to convince Morgan Geyser to cut off her ankle monitor and go on the lam. So, and when you're schizophrenic, it's a very common thing. Like, oh, I feel, not even them, just people in general who are on mental health issues. I'm taking meds. I feel good. I don't need these anymore because I feel fine. Not really, they don't draw the connection of, I need those pills to keep me feeling fine. I feel good. I don't need these anymore. Like schizophrenics fall off the wagon and, suffer issues and go untreated again. Then they have to get back treated. It's a common cycle. And that's it's not an intention. Sometimes it's an intentional thing. And then you know what they're doing. But sometimes it's just your mind's convinced, I'm good to go. I mean, remember, you're dealing with people who don't understand sometimes what's going on and they can't figure it out what's going on. And this is just a woman here. It's like, it's not fair to her what happened to her. It's not fair what happened to her, how they're doing this. So. Yeah, you can go off your meds. You've been doing well. That's how they do it. And that is, I've had clients do that. And you're like, and they say like, yeah, I realize it when they're sitting there back in custody and they're getting remedicated. But it's not something like, it's hard to explain, but I understand where they're coming from in that regard. The Brewberry says, yeah, you're talking about someone who is also convinced a creepypasta gay internet meme told her to stab her friend and try to kill her. Yeah. And that's the deal with meds. When you need them the most, you don't want to take them. It's just Jean-Francois's next wife. Oof. She might mash his potato. That's the thing. She is yeah. Jean-Francois might be, he'll come on stream and like, help. The potato is trying to mash me. Clippy is saying she's legally an adult, so if you choose to be preyed upon, it's kind of not society's problem. It kind of is when we've incarcerated her half her life. And then we just put her out there and we're like, oh, well, we'll see what happens. It is kind of our problem. It's our problem. She's going to be our problem till the day she dies. Right, wrong, or indifferent, she's our problem till she dies. And we have to take care of her and figure it out because we can't just have her go run around fucking stabbing people because the internet told her to do it. So guess what? We have to take care of her. We're not allowed to put people down. So we have to take care of her somehow. So it is our problem. Emma's currency's been a member for 15 months. Says, Happy Thanksgiving, America, for the Americans. And we'll get to that here coming up. You see a schizophrenic by see the next Mama JF, yeah. Nobody knows it says when I was homeless, I met a lot of legit mental people. Stories for days, yeah. Yep. Yep. If this were the 50s, they would have Rosemary Kennedy'd her. Yeah, they probably would have given her a lobotomy. But, you know, it's not the time frame we live in. Yeah, mentally and emotionally, she's not an adult. Am I skipping for you too? Sorry, I'm trying not to sneeze and sniffle too much on screen. But anyways, guys, that's something here. I should take her into my house then. No, but I'm just there are people who need help, but they also fuck around and jerk off the system all the time. And I get that. But this is one of these ones where they set her up to fail, and I just think it's wrong. I think it's something people should talk about. There's nothing wrong with like I said, you know, we can all, you know, this idea of being an ANCAP. You know, there's a lot of things I'd like to see the government do less of. But we have to figure out, like, we can't, you know, you can't get rid of crazy people. So we got to figure out how we're going to deal with them. So this idea of, oh, we can just all be libertarians and live in the woods. No, we can't. We can't. So we got to deal with them. And I think there's ways that they can be dealt with, but it's, you know, when we used to warehouse people in mental institutions, the problem was those mental institutions turned into fucking horror shows. And were absolutely awful. Like, you guys might laugh at the idea of like an American Horror Story, the Asylum series, but mental institutions were fucking awful. I mean, mental hospitals today are fucking awful. I've told you that before. I've had clients go to them and they say they'd rather go to prison at times. But it's something that needs to be addressed. It's something that needs to be addressed. And where we're at now, I mean, the amount of money we spend on combating, you know, drug treatment, I'd rather we spend a lot of the money on mental health treatment, because a lot of drug addicts, you know, those people aren't going to get better. But at least we can get people with mental health issues. We could try to help them get better. And, you know, a lot of them want to get better. They just don't know how. And I think there's a lot more that can be done with them than with the drug addiction community. So anyways, whatever. That's where I'm at. We'll leave that alone. So Reese says, how much have you contributed to taking care of the proverbial we? You're right. I've never represented people, you know, pro bono in these types of hearings, or tried to help people with mental health issues avoid prosecution for things because they're clearly in mental distress or anything like that. I haven't done any of that stuff. No. So, no, I just don't do that. Kay says, we not start throwing meds at people. I think people do need meds, though. Like, throwing them at people, sure, but the idea that the meds don't help anybody, I think, obviously we can't, you know, no meds is not the answer, but is it the way we're doing it now probably the answer? No, I don't think so. So, Taylor, is the front porch thing an Ash Hess-ism? No. So no, I haven't. I have not. That's not a no. It's like I said, a wise old man told me, if you think it's time, go out there, and if your neighbors aren't on their front porch too, it's not time. So, a lot more drug addicts get better than schizophrenics. Not really. I mean, ultimately, the people who get better through drug treatment is actually very, very small. Mental health is pretty much terminal. I understand, and that's why I think we have to manage it a lot more. And I think you could focus the resources there instead. So, obviously, you haven't skipped a meal there, thyroid problem. Well, me not eating doesn't help people with mental health. I mean, try harder at the trolling. Reese. We need pill streams. No, we don't need pill streams. Let's see. The problem is doctors get incentivized to put us. Well, yeah, well, that's once again, there's a whole set of issues that need to be addressed there. But maybe that's something Robert Kennedy could actually work on versus the other stuff he's doing. But hey, I don't know. Robert Kennedy could actually work on helping us as a society. So who knows? And then is been a member for 3 months, or Shift 2 says, as some that have PTSD, those meds mess it up. Yeah, oh, totally. I could do it, but then I give those people wrenches. Oh, I don't know. There we go. That's funny. Let's see. Spud Gun, he says, but a member for 11 months, thank you, says, happy Turkey Day to you and yours, Sean. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Shredder S07 says, here's a few dollars for a new HEPA filter. Well, thank you. Like I said, I don't know what happened. Phoenix Fire says, member for 7 months, is happy Thanksgiving. Well, thank you. EDW Raptor says, for the HEPA filter fund. Well, thank you. Unanimous, we already covered that. John Coleman says, you're getting sick. Take it easy tonight. Get some rest. I'm not. It went away woke up this morning. You can ask 2.0. I was fine all day. Till I came in here, and I don't know what the hell's going on, but I don't know. I don't know what happened. But I don't feel sick, and 2.0 is not sick, so I don't know what's going on. I don't know. Jefferson Post, we already got to that, yes. Chewy Show is saying, these guys planning the invasion. You sure this isn't going to be akin to the Whitmer kidnapping hoax? I don't know. This one seems even flimsier than that. Like, the FBI didn't get involved in this one. But once again, they found the child porn, and that was kind of where they started. Jefferson Post says, Slotkin is going for the Theranos look. Same energy, yeah. Yes, that's she needs to start talking like Elizabeth Holmes. That is the one thing I still want to know. I almost want to, she can get her sentence commuted if she talks in her normal voice instead of that deep voice she uses. Just talk to me in your normal voice, and I'll let you out of prison right now. Start with that. Super Iron Bob says that trust is at risk, so we'll destabilize that risk even more by making it ambiguous if they can be trusted. Well, that, like I said, it's all intended with what they're doing, and they know what they're doing. Jefferson Post says, the military hold prosecutors more accountable. You mean, does the UCMJ hold JAG officers accountable? I mean, well, they're within the chain of command of the military, but even then, the military is a political institution, at the higher levels. I mean, after a certain point, you need congressional approval to be promoted. So it's all about politics at some point. And yeah, I mean, it's you'd like to think so, but talk to people who've been in the military and they'll tell you not always. Bob Tube for $2 redos says wood. Ew. David from MLS Making Law Simple says, happy Thanksgiving. Well, David, happy Thanksgiving to you too. You guys take care out there. Ozzy Mandis says, sounds like JFG's kind of woman. Yeah, I don't know about Jean-Francois's woman right there, so I don't know about that. Let's see here. We got Derna, last thing catching up here, says, a lot of it is we build a culture and work and education that's insufferable, so we have millions of people who just don't fit into society. Yeah, but for people like we're guys, is she really ever going to fit into society in a way that would be helpful to her? What could we do for her that wouldn't keep her from fitting into society? I don't think there's anything wrong with just saying, look, we're probably never going to be able to make anything work for her. It just is what it is. I think there's nothing wrong with being honest about yourself in that regard. There's probably nothing we could do to help her. There's probably nothing we could do. Which, sucks, but, that's life. That's life. She could run the Slenderman fan club. Yeah, that would be hilarious. Dirty Eric says, the first rule of JAG says they're not here for you. They are here for the command only. I've heard that before, but I will defer to people in the military who can comment on that. They can comment on that. Yes, the only vitamin I need is vitamin Clyde. Well, I got a bunch of that today. Clyde was hanging out with me. We had family over, and there were some little kids, and Clyde was like, get them away from me, fat man! I'm getting chased. I have the long coof. Yeah, I have the long coof. And if I have night sickness, I'm pregnant. Oh no, that's not good, chat. That's not good. All right, guys. So give me 1 second here. Hold on. I gotta blow my nose again. Sorry, guys. It's like, I'm sorry. This is just awful tonight. It's awful tonight. All right, going on from here, there is this was something I saw and I was like, there's no way in hell this is a thing here. But this is we're going to start with this part. And this is a thing out of Texas. And this is a thing before the Texas Judicial Commission. And when you read this, you're like, okay, something happened, but what had to have happened here? All right, so what happened? So it's an inquiry for Judge William Ross Mitchell out of Uvalde County, which, Uvalde has all kinds of problems. You're like, wow, not imagine that. So anyways, be it known that on November 11th, they were presented with the Judicial Commission conduct, were presented with a copy of an indictment handed up on November 3rd by a grand jury. And what did they do? Well, it's the state of Texas versus William Ross Mitchell. They say, having considered the indictment, and they concluded that he is charged with one count of official oppression, a Class A misdemeanor. And we'll get to this. It's like, I want to see some more information. I want to see body cam on this thing here, but we'll get to that probably. He will be suspended without pay as a judge, pursuant to all the disciplinary rules. It will remain in effect until the charges set forth are dismissed or he's acquitted of all charges, or upon further orders of the commission. So, effective immediately, he is suspended as a judge. You're like, okay, well, what happened? And this is on the 18th of November. You're like, okay, well, what did he do? What did he do? So he did. He got a charge with official oppression. Here's the indictment. So what did he do? Okay, so on or about the 27th day of March, 2025, he did intentionally subject T. Cox to arrest or detention or seizure that he knew was unlawful. The defendant was acting on the color of his official office as a public servant, namely as a county judge. Okay, so what did he do? What did he do? What did he do here? What did he do that was so bad? And why is it? The sad thing is, it's only a misdemeanor. Well, the arrest, detention, or seizure unlawfully, it's only a misdemeanor? Imagine that. If you arrest, detain, or unlawfully seize someone and you're not in official capacity, guess what? It's a fucking felony. Isn't that kind of fun how that works for us and not for them? Isn't that kind of funny how they wait for how it works on us and not for them? Well, no, we're gonna get to this. This is a news story, but there's two sides to it, and either side is really fucking awful. Either side is really awful. So this is what happened. So this is the judge. Ooh, this is the judge. He is. Why will this not let me zoom in here? Come on. Okay, anyways, we'll keep going here. This is the judge. And what happened? Well, there's two different stories here. So Tyler Cox is the guy who is claiming he was arrested illegally by the judge. What happened? Well, he claims, his story is, I was just a UPS driver, and I was authorized to leave packages on the first floor hallway due to elevator maintenance. So what's he gonna do? Is he gonna drag everything around? Okay, so he's leaving stuff there. He was then confronted by Judge Mitchell, who publicly humiliated him, shouted derogatory remarks, and violently seized his delivery dolly, his little hand truck thing, and scattered packages and committed assault. So what did the guy do? He said, well, I attempted to relocate him, and at that point, he ordered a deputy to place him under arrest and cuff him. Now, he claims he was injured by the tightness of the cuffs. Okay, well, that can happen. And he was not read his Miranda rights before being detained. Well, you don't need your Miranda rights read to you. It's only when you meet that magical formula of interrogation and custody that you then have Miranda. He's just being detained. He's in custody. He doesn't need a Miranda warning at that point. He then says that the judge stole his phone for 9 minutes without consent. Now, after the incident, Cox says that Mitchell falsely reported to the news that the judge is like, well, the guy called me an asshole. Okay. So what? You call a judge a fucking asshole. You're not in court? If you're not in court and the judge is walking down the hallway, you can call him an asshole. That's not illegal. That's free speech. He is a political official. You can call him that. You have the right to redress grievances at that point. So I don't think the guy's done anything wrong here. Also, the judge has refused to release video footage from the court, which is bullshit. And then he filed a lawsuit claiming, he filed a 1983 suit. I think that's, even though the judge has immunity, he doesn't have immunity for these things. And he's seeking $15 million of damages. I don't think he'll get that, but he should get paid because this is bullshit what happened to him. But now listen to the judge's story. And you're like, okay, well, fuck this guy. He could be lying. Sure, he could be lying. But here's the judge's story. His version of events differs significantly. I don't think they do. When you read this, you're like, wait, they're the same fucking thing, more or less. So he explains, and the guy says, well, listen, I was just dropping off packages, and I just, I was the judge and I said, hey, good sir, can you come out and can you release the packages to me? He's like, look, you're on the first floor, buddy. I'm up on the third floor. Those are for me in my office. Can you come fix the problem? And obviously, if I'm the UPS guy and the elevator's not working, it's probably reams of paper or some shit. Great, now he's got to carry that shit all the way up the fucking stairs. All the way up the stairs. And at that point, he's like, fine, I'll take him upstairs. You're an asshole. Okay, that's not illegal. Why are you arresting this guy? But yeah, I attempted to leave the packages, and this is from his response to the criminal case, or the civil lawsuit. And he says he became upset and said, hey, fuck you. You probably said you're an asshole as I'm going up the stairs with the stuff. He then ordered the deputy to arrest the guy. It's like, what? Why? Why are we doing this? What the fuck? So, at that point, he tried to retrieve his cell phone. And this is what the judge says. He gave his cell phone, gave it to the judge so he could call the supervisor and report it. The judge is saying, after that conversation, I gave it back to him and it was over. And the judge says it only lasted 5 to 10 minutes. And that his actions were objectively reasonable and under established law. I don't think so. It's one thing, yes, if you're in a courtroom, you don't have the right to go in there and call the judge an asshole. Fair enough. Well, the judge is in court. You don't have free speech right like that. But, and I'll also agree that a judge has the right to It's the courthouse. So they're in charge of the courthouse because the courthouse is where the judge is. He's allowed to regulate conduct outside of the courtroom. So, like, if you're in the hallway outside of the courthouse and you're being disruptive, the judge could, like, let's say you're in trial, the judge could come out and say, hey, shut the fuck up. Or if you're out there just causing commotion, fighting with people, could I see you, the judge ordering you to get arrested and then, have you charged with things? Sure, I can see that too. But the idea the UPS guy's dropping stuff off and he says, hey, man, you got to finish the delivery. Who the fuck are you? Who the fuck are you to say that? The elevator's not working. The guy doesn't want to haul that shit up 3 stairs. He's a UPS guy. He's got to run his route. And in the meantime, you're fucking with him because now that's extra time. He's got to go do this stuff. So the idea the judge did this is absolutely fucking awful at this point. Absolutely fucking awful. Yes, you have the right to be an asshole. The judge is not like that. So hopefully this guy wins and takes his judge to the fucking cleaners. Hopefully he wins and takes him to the cleaners because this is really fucking awful conduct. So the judge can regulate elevator behavior. Well, remember the elevator was broken, so tip the guy and save your judgeship instead. Well, I don't think tip him. It's just like, okay, well then fuck. I guess we'll wait till the elevator's fixed. P-Dub says the Elvis judge is better than the Texas judge. I don't know. They're both turds. You're arguing like which turd is less squishy, like which is the more solid of the turds. And that's not really a competition you want to have or be in. Let's see. Yeah, green caps. So this is the thing. A lot of places still think you can't swear or have obscenities, and that's disorderly. That's not the case. You're allowed to swear. Once again, this guy wasn't in court where you don't have that right. He was out in the hallway, and it was about package delivery. It wasn't about this guy being disruptive for any other reason. So it's all horseshit. It's all horseshit. Scan the packages is not in one and redeliver the following day. Yeah, I'm sure that, like, if he had tried that, I don't know how that would have worked for him at UPS. Like, maybe he was told, like, you have to deliver today, or maybe I don't know what happened, but yeah, it's not his fault. I don't really fault him for not doing anything else. I don't fault him for not doing anything else. Code Fairy saying it's an illegal detainment. Yes, I would argue it's an illegal detainment. He illegally detained that guy. He violated his right. He violated that guy's rights under the color of law. He abuses the authorities of judge. This guy shouldn't be a judge. This guy should be a judge. So. Let's see here. Anna Wall says, we had a judge in residence and the students were being too loud and she came out and berated them. Well, that could happen, but I don't know. It's just, I think this was a little fucking ridiculous. I don't think it was fucking ridiculous. And speaking of other judges, chat, local judges having things going on here. Hannah Dugan, the judge in Wisconsin who was fucking around with ICE. She goes to trial next month. So that is what's going on. Hannah Dugan goes to charge next month. She goes to trial in 2 weeks. Starting jury selection. So, and I don't understand why the fuck I have ad block on it. It doesn't fucking get all the blacks on. So anyways, remember she learned that the ICE agents were outside her courtroom and she told them to go down the hallway and then let the other guy sneak out the back door. And then they caught him later and they still ended up deporting that guy. She faces 6 years in prison if she's convicted of the counts of both obstructing and concealing. And the U.S. attorney said that negotiations are underway, but she's not interested in a deal. And I'm sure she's not. She's going to be like, I am le resist. And ultimately this becomes an issue of Kay Michael is saying, I'm surprised the judge didn't protect her. Well, at some point you can't at some point you fuck up too much. Now here's the thing for her. Is this gonna be like James Comey? Is she gonna be able to find a sympathetic juror? Remember, James Comey wouldn't need, like, he could probably get acquitted in Alexandria, in the federal court there. She's in Milwaukee. She's a local judge. What's she going to get? It's Milwaukee. Wisconsin is a blue state in these urban areas. So who's she going to get? It's a very likelihood she'd get acquitted. So, Hydrosphere, we're going to get to the Comey stuff here at the end. 803 saying she will walk. Yeah, she could. I mean, does it sound like I think she committed the crime and she did it? But hey, if they acquit her, they acquit her. Nothing you can do about it. The 51 says Wisconsin is red though, not in the cities. Not in the cities. She has saggy tits. Okay, but that's not what we're worried about here. Jesus Christ, you guys. Spughead says she needs to be fired. I think so. If you try to do this with the defendant in her court, I'm sure she would shit her pants about it and fucking sanction me. Like if I did this to somebody in her court, helping them escape arrest. But because it's La Heckin' Immigrinos, I'm sure she's like, it's okay. So, I'm sorry, it's Madison, yes. But anyways, Pino says, not Milwaukee. Yes, but she is from Milwaukee. And she is going to be tried from people in the entire district. The way the federal court thing works, like it pulls people from all over your district. So if she gets somebody who's in, and that's the thing, if she gets somebody who's in Madison, I mean, that's even tougher for this prosecution because guess what? Madison's a commie hotbed. So, yeah. Very, very deep blue. Madison's deep blue. And Milwaukee's going to be blue. Madison is more red than blue besides the university. Well, I don't know about that. So we'll see. Some guy with cancer, we'll get to that in a second. Thank you. No, I only heard about that issue. But yeah, let's see what happens to her. I think, obviously, she did. She shouldn't have done that stuff. If you did that to her in her courtroom, she would fucking have lost her mind. But notice it happened here. That's okay. She doesn't mind. All right. Sorry, guys. We did let me see here. You guys are... Her bra's criminal. She's not wearing a bra. Yeah, she might be. I don't know. I'm just powdering my nose. So we'll see what happens there, but I know that's an update there. Just a really quick update, a little side note. Some guy with cancer says for $4.99, thank you. Good to see you, man. Hope you're doing okay. Says, did you see the police lost the memory card from, we're talking about the Aaron Spencer case. He's the dad who chased down the pedophile who had his daughter in his truck and was driving around and wouldn't stop. Remember, we went over the prosecution's whole admission of what happened. Their theory of the case is he chased them down. He wouldn't, the pedophile would not stop with his daughter. And then he shot him 15 times. You're like, based. You see that the police have lost the memory card from Fosler's dash cam. No, I heard about that. The Aaron Spencer case stinks more and more. Yeah, it's interesting. Like the piece of evidence that may show us what happened here. And if it's a dash cam, if it activated, it goes back like 30 seconds so we can hear and figure out what's going on. But isn't it? Yeah, it's interesting how the cops lost that, isn't it? Yeah. No, I hadn't seen that, but we'll go over that probably at some point here coming up. But yeah, thank you for pointing that out. Thank you for pointing that out. Yes, Aaron Spencer is out in Arkansas. Yes. Have I talked about the teenagers killed on the cruise ship yet? No, not yet, not yet. You have the rare opportunity to say number 15 while all stuffed up. I feel like I'm an idiot. I don't get it. I'm not getting it. It's like Family Guy. It's like I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. Yes, it's our Kansas, not your Kansas. It's our Kansas. Yeah. Yes. I will be at his trial, so I will report in. Ooh, that'll be interesting. That'll be interesting. Oh, it's like 6. It's like 6-7. Yeah. Oh my god. And it's sad when it's sad when it's to the point where I had to explain to a judge. It's like, I don't understand the 6-7 thing. And I said, Judge, it's memes. We're to like the meta point with memes where they're like, there's no meta to them. They don't make sense anymore. Even like, the memes of the old days made a lot of sense. And now they're kind of degenerating and it's, becoming more simplified. And that's how the things go in the development of it was hard explaining it, but it's a normal thing. 6-7 is an anti-meme. I don't think so. I don't think so. In all my respect for you, just went down the toilet. Well, suffer. Flush it down like the rest of the turds. Cat says, I don't understand the 6-7 thing. That's the point. It's a meme. You don't have to understand it. And the modern, the way memes have progressed, they're becoming more and more like, meta-modernism and like we're past postmodernism. And it's just, things are just, it's a good point. They're entropying. Yeah, skibidi toilet. Yep. Coke phrase is not a meme. It's nonsense. That's actually true. That's true. Memes are nonsense. They can be nonsense. They can totally do it. 6-7 means nothing. I understand, but okay, we're not getting to some of this. We're just going to move on. But you guys, that's how memes work. All right. Another thing people wanted to talk about, people were kind of concerned about, and I understand the frustration with people here, but this is out in Minneapolis. A judge out there overturned a guilty verdict on a fraud case. And it was a fraud case involving a couple of Somalis who were scamming the state Medicaid system. And I understand people are upset, but so what all actually happened here? Well, and this is from the judge overturned it. But these guys stole like $7 million. And from what I've been able to read, it sounds like it's pretty true. It sounds like they did it. They were operating a home healthcare company out of a P.O. box where other places were supposedly located. So operating a bunch of, shell companies out of a P.O. box. And there's nothing wrong with that on its face, but it really is conducive to the idea you're being fraudulent. So what did the guy do? Well, Abdi Fattah Yusuf, I think I pronounced that right, and his wife, lol. His wife, my wife, lol. Maybe that'd be funny if that's how you pronounce it, lol. We're charged with stealing $7 million on a Medicaid overbilling scam, which the personal care assistant thing, holy shit, that is a fucking good way to scam money. That is a good way to scam money. 100% you can scam the shit out of that. The couple then spent all that money to buy luxury items, which is what you do if you scam money. So, but here's the thing. They talked to one of the jurors, And one of the jurors said it wasn't a difficult decision. The deliberation took 4 hours at most. Based off the state's evidence, it was beyond a reasonable doubt. And this is what the foreperson said. Well, what happened last week, the judge decided they got it wrong and overturned the verdict and issued an acquittal. Now, here's the thing. And I haven't been able to get a hold of the decision. I tried looking it up on MCRO, and I only know about MCRO because of what we've had to deal with in Candioi County and Stearns County. I couldn't pull up the case on this. But an attorney who wasn't involved in this looked at it and said, the state's case relied heavily on circumstantial evidence. That alone is not a problem. People can be convicted on circumstantial evidence. So don't think that's the issue here. People can be convicted on that. It doesn't take much. This is something as a prosecutor you have to discuss. Prosecutors will routinely discuss this, but also defense attorneys will if they're bringing up witnesses. Testimony itself is evidence. Testimony itself is evidence because think about it. If I rob you and steal your wallet and nobody else sees it, and there's no proof anywhere of it, if you come into court and say, well, the guy stole my wallet, is that proof? Yeah, it is. It's proof. It's evidence. And it's up to the jury to determine your credibility and weigh how much credence they give that evidence. And is that evidence enough to convict? But from here, the judge believed the state didn't rule out other reasonable inferences, and that's a thing. If there are other reasonable theories other than guilt, that's reasonable doubt. And if that wasn't done, then that's why this gets overturned. All right? Now, I get it. It's, okay, Minnesota full of commies and some commie judge helping out the poor Somalis because we love our Somalis. We love our Muslims. Oh, they're so good. Oh, they're so sweet. Yes, I get it. That's stab you with the butcher knife. I get it. That's kind of what we're locked into here. The Somalis are funneling money to Al-Shabaab through all the welfare they're getting. I understand that's where we are with this. But if that's what happened, that's reasonable doubt. That's reasonable doubt. So, yeah, just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. And the judge even said, though, and I didn't get a chance to read it, but I'm assuming this is a correct quote, she's troubled by the manner in which a fraud was able to be perpetrated. So she's like, I know what they were doing, but if there's enough reasonable doubt out there, I can't allow the conviction to go forward. Yeah, I wish the ruling was available. I couldn't get it, chat. I was trying to look for it today during the day. I couldn't get it. But that's not uncommon. Like, okay, look, we know they did it. I've had that happen before. One time I prosecuted something and we prosecuted. It was a misdemeanor. And the judge is like, okay, I can't say for sure the guy stole it, so I'm going to have to acquit him. But he then looked in, the defense like, and the judge is like, don't think for 1 second I don't think you're a fucking thief. He's like, they just couldn't prove it. I know you did it, but they can't prove it. And the guy got all upset about it. It's like, yeah, I mean, and we had an issue with the victim kind of flaking at the last minute, but I'm like, yeah, you run what you brung. Isn't this what the jury's for? Yeah, but if the jury doesn't do the same thing, like if the jury doesn't get it right, the judge has to step in. If the jury convicts someone and it's not beyond a reasonable doubt, the judge is supposed to be the goalie and stop it. So that's why we rely on the court. Now, courts generally let juries make the decision. In this case, she let him try it, and after she read everything, she's like, yeah, I don't think this is correct, and she has to overturn it. Is this the same case where they tried to bribe a juror? I don't think so. I don't know. But even if they did, whatever they might have done, it still comes down to, did the state meet its burden? The state didn't meet its burden, it's over. So, Nico says, pretty convenient how this all shit happens only one way. Well, that's where you could get up there and say, okay, this is bullshit, and you could say that, but for right now, if that's the way it went, it's the way it went. That's all I can tell you. I get it. But, yeah. All right, guys, and then finally, we are going to get to something here that the last thing. Well, we have 2 stories left. This is the last one up in the headlines there, but this is for James Comey and Letitia James. They both had their. They both sought to dismiss the indictments against them, and long story short, they are being dismissed. Comey's moving it. She says. And ultimately, this comes down to because Lindsay Halligan had no lawful authority to present the indictment, I grant James Comey's motion to dismiss the indictment without prejudice. Now, Letitia James had the same thing. They both went to the same judge. It makes sense they go to the same judge because it's the exact same issue, and it's only fair that we have a consistency between these cases, and we don't have inconsistent rulings. So the judge who ruled upon all of this made the ruling. I'm only going to read the Comey one because the Letitia James one, it involves the same situations involving Lindsay Halligan. And we're going to get to what's going to happen from here afterwards. Hashtag is saying, what about the Florida Congresswoman and her $5 million FEMA funds? I've got her indictment. We're going to read through that. Holy Jesus Christ, it's bad. And we might actually do that Friday afternoon, depending on what we're doing here. We got to talk to, tomorrow's Friday. So I got to talk 2.0, see what our plans are. We might just be hanging out, playing games, and enjoying the cold weather. We'll see, though. But yeah, hashtag, we do need to go over that. So what happened? So this talks about the appointments clause, and we've gone through all this other stuff. The arguments here, the principal officers are appointed by the president with advisory consent of the Senate. The same process is also the default manner for inferior ones. Now, there are different things they go through here. And everybody, they point out, everybody agrees U.S. attorneys are inferior officers. Remember, to be the U.S. attorney, you are in charge of that federal district. So you're the U.S. attorney for the Northern District of Ohio. You're the U.S. attorney for the Southern District of Ohio. You're the U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York. Remember, Preet Bharara was the, gay notoriety as the leader of the SDNY during the Obama administration. Somebody's going to be the U.S. attorney for the District of Wyoming or the District of Montana. Those all exist out there, but they're all inferior officers. Now, if you're an assistant United States attorney, you are not appointed. You are hired, and you serve at the luxury of, basically, you get hired and fired right away. That's the one thing in Billions. Some of those guys were hired and fired pretty quickly. They say, they go on here, the president shall appoint by and with the advice and consent of the Senate U.S. attorney for each district. There's also a mechanism for appointing interim attorneys when the vacancies arise. Now, this goes through here, and they say that you can appoint an attorney, you can appoint somebody. You shall not appoint somebody as a U.S. attorney whose appointment to that office the Senate refused to give advice and consent to. And that makes sense. If the Senate said, we're not going to approve this guy, then you can't appoint him. But you can appoint if it's vacant. And under this section, you can serve until the earlier of things happen. If somebody is finally appointed, or the expiration of 120 days after appointment by the Attorney General. Now, when they go through this, and this is where they go through stuff here, they talk about in January 2025, Jessica Aber, who was nominated by Biden and confirmed by the Senate, resigned as U.S. attorney. And that's pretty normal because, hey, guess what? She probably knew already, hey, I'm going to get fired, so I quit. The following day, Attorney General appointed Eric Siebert as an interim U.S. attorney. His 120-day interim appointment was set to expire May 21st. So on May 9th, the judges exercised their authority to appoint Siebert to continue his role effective May 21st. And the judges have the right to do that. They have the right to band together and say, hey, we're going to do that. We're going to keep him going. That's kind of what happened with Elena Haba, where the judges out there were like, nah, we're not doing this. We don't fucking want her. And then I think there was an issue with Jeanine Pirro as well, which, once again, I can't fucking stand that woman. Once again, can't fucking stand her. Can't fucking stand the woman. But hey, she's there. So Siebert informed the colleagues of his on September 19th Seabright informed his colleagues of his resignation. According to news reports, he had recently expressed concerns about the viability of pursuing charges against Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James. Once again, I think that's bullshit. They both broke the law. They both can go after him there. So I think it's totally fine. Anyway, his resignation came hours after Trump told reporters he wanted him out, which, yeah, you serve at the luxury of the president. So the next day, Trump posted and later deleted the following message on social media. And this is where his social media counts official things. I mean, it can. Now, ultimately, even after all that's gone here, after this post is done, whatever, I think that this is where, this is, once again, I'm sure this judge isn't trying to be fucking political, but, you know, they are. So, less than 48 hours later, on the 22nd, the U.S. Attorney, the Attorney General authorized Lindsay Halligan to be interim U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia during the vacancy in that office. The order only cites 28 U.S.C. 546 as the basis. Remember, though, you've got this issue here of what happens. Well, somebody may serve as U.S. Attorney until they're appointed, the qualification, or the 120 days. So we're now running into, well, does the 120 days start for her again? Or is it that clock expired on May 21st, and by May 9th, they approved, so she only had like 11 days of power? That's what the arguments are here. So on September 25th, the grand jury sitting in Virginia returned a 2-count indictment against Comey. The charges stem from testimony gave Comey during the Senate Judiciary hearing in 2020. Halligan was the only prosecutor participating in the government's presentation to the grand jury, and only her signature appears on Comey's indictment. So Comey's arguing that it violated the Appointments Clause. And then it says that on October 21st, the Chief Judge of the Fourth Circuit designated me to consider this and any other motion concerning the appointment, qualification, or disqualification of the United States Attorney or the United States Attorney's Office in the Eastern District of Virginia. Let me see here. Now, and this is where they talk about here, the grand jury was originally having a 3-count indictment. At some point, however, a second 2-count was prepared. They say both indictments are signed by Lindsay Halligan and the grand jury foreperson. During the indictment proceedings, the foreperson said the grand jury didn't agree with the 3-part, and that 2 counts, 2 and 3, were then put in a different package, which we agreed on. And that's fine. You can re-indict that way. After speaking with Halligan, the magistrate judge accepted the return and instructed the foreperson to annotate report of the failure to concur to reflect that it only applied to count 1. Okay, so, and here's where the judge goes from here. You know, to determine the extent of Lindsay Halligan's involvement, I ordered the government to submit for an in-camera review all documents relating to this, along with complete transcripts. Upon reviewing the transcript, I determined it did not include any remarks made by Halligan before and after the testimony of the sole witness. So she said, I want the full fucking thing. And they say that in response to the order, the government provided the transcript to the proceedings. And then it says on November 3rd, the government responded in opposition to Comey's motion. It says also that day they filed an order saying, in order from the Attorney General, and that order reads in its entirety, Pam Bondi saying, I exercise the authority vested in this statute to designate Lindsay Halligan. And it says, I hereby appoint her to do everything she does here, and I hereby delegate her authority as special attorney to conduct and supervise the prosecutions of U.S. v. Comey and United States v. James. Well, that doesn't work that way because she was appointed as the United States Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia. You know, giving her an additional position as special attorney doesn't work there because she's not. Like, I don't think that's acceptable. I think that's a bit sketch the way they did that. I don't think that works. And it says, based on my review of the grand jury proceedings, I hereby exercise the authority vested in the Attorney General by law, which, once again, Pam Bondi, you're a fucking idiot. And then it says, James Comey filed their replies, and they took oral arguments. And it says, during the hearing, I raised concerns about the Attorney General's ability to review Lindsay Halligan's presentation. And it said the government had not received a complete transcript of the proceedings. So, yeah, how can Pam Bondi say, hey, I approve of all of this if you don't have a transcript of it? And it says, she said, I also noted there's a gap from 6:28 p.m. to 6:47 p.m. when the indictment was returned to the magistrate. It says, after the hearing, the government filed an unsworn declaration from Lindsay Halligan and a new ratification order from the Attorney General. And she says the grand jury transcript accurately reflects everything that happened. She stated there was no additional presentation discussion with the grand jury outside of what is reflected on the transcript. Now, as that really goes, guys, do we really believe that? Yeah, I don't know about that. Why isn't anything on record there? But hey, if you can't trust a prosecutor, who can you trust? It's just like in the Mickey Steins case, huh? And they point out here, what's this all about? Well, James Comey's motion requires me first to decide whether Lindsay Halligan was validly appointed as interim U.S. attorney. It says that the answer is yes, I don't need to go any further. And Comey's motion is denied. But if the answer is no, then the question becomes what remedy is appropriate. And that's true. You have two options. Is it good? Yes. Okay. Deal with your fucking case. If it's not good, well, then what do I do about it? You know, should the indictment be dismissed? That's a question. And if so, is it with or without prejudice? So she addresses all these things here. So they argue that the appointment violated Section 546. And she adopts what James Comey has said, that the Section 546 limits the total tenure of interim appointments to 120 days. And it's not an additional. But remember, it's not clear. Where does that start and where does that end? Accordingly, Lindsay Halligan's appointment was unlawful because the district court possessed the exclusive authority to appoint interim U.S. attorney. And once the appointment by the Attorney General expired on May 21st, but remember, by the 9th, they had agreed to take him on, although I think they're arguing as of the 21st, our then appointment takes over. Although, who knows? But even if that were to be the case of saying on May 9th, when the court said, we're going to accept you, that's only like 11 days, and I don't know if that covers Lindsay Halligan or not. So it says the preeminent canon of statutory interpretation requires courts presume the legislator says in a statute what it means in a statute is what it says. So the plainness or ambiguity of language is determined by reference to the language itself. Yeah, and notice we have a little bit of an issue. What does it say? Well, she's saying it's unambiguous. I don't know if it is, but I can understand both of those are fairly reasonable interpretations of the law. And it says a person appointed may serve until the expiration of 120 days after the appointment. And then it provides the single option for how subsequent interim appointments may be made. So she's arguing that subsection D makes it clear the power of appointment shifts to the district court after the 120-day period. It does not go back to Pam Bondi. And the first word in subsection D is if, meaning it's a conditional clause. Now, once again, I don't know. I don't think the government made the right argument here if they wanted to survive and say, well, we had 10 more days. But, that's what they... I've not been thrilled with the way the DOJ has done stuff here. I have not been thrilled with the way they've done stuff here. But, hey, Pam Bondi is not the smartest person in the world. I've said it from day one. She's pretty fucking stupid. And once again, guys, she cites Brian Garner. I brought him up before. He is a legal writing guru. And yes, the modern English language, English usage in law, it's really, really good. He does a lot of good work. He was a writing professor at University of Texas in Austin. He wrote the Red Book. And hold on, I'll grab those. So I had him before and I didn't have him to show you guys. Hold on. Where are they? Oh, there we are. There we are. No, I just had the red book. Oh, the blue book. Oh, that sucks. Oh. All right, chat. All right, chat. This is well. So there's a red book, which is a manual on legal citation that we use in the law, and then in addition to that, there's also what's called the red book, and this is an old manual of it, but this is the red book. It's called the red book, a manual on legal style, which is not bad. I've seen other editions of this updated, but I still hold on to it because it's helpful. Just if you're not sure, it's never a bad idea to have a reference material around. There's just a lot of stuff here. But like I said, anyways, Brian Garner is a lot pretty important when it comes to that. Also, citing things like the Chicago Manual of Style, which, the Chicago Manual of Style is the thing I love the most as a history student. And it's so Maddie's saying, what is a blue book? Hold on here. There's a blue book in many things, but the blue book is a citation format. And it's a uniform system of citation, and it teaches you when you open up the blue book, it breaks things down by state. How do you like, here's a good example of how the blue book, actually, this is actually pretty good. I just found this. So this is an example of the blue book where it'll show you how you cite things. And it shows you how citations are broken down. And it'll do it by each state and different courts within the state. In some states, it's pretty straightforward. But for example, in Tennessee, you have like chancery courts, and you have different court systems set up in different states. This is an example of the blue book for legal citation. And this is pretty good in that regard. It teaches you all different things here and how to put this all together. So that's what the blue book does here. And they finally go on. She talks about, conjunction junctions and what are your functions. Hooking up phrases and making them function. There's also things here. Antonin Scalia and Brian Garner have collaborated on work before. And yes, Reading Law, the Interpretation of Legal Text is actually a good book if you want to read about how Scalia, reads law. It's important. It's not a bad idea. So ultimately, there's strong evidence Congress did not intend for the Attorney General to retain appointment power beyond 120 days. So after 120 days is up, they would argue the only guy who could still be there absent Congress confirming him was this Eric Siebert dude, who was already there. Now, what does this do here? And they keep talking about the internal wording of it, and I think they come down to other things here that Congress had. They talk about how the act, and we talked about this previously. There was an issue about the unlimited appointment power was short-lived, and Congress reverted that later. They reinstated the 120-day limit and the district court's role. And yes, when Congress amends legislation, the courts must presume the change to have a real effect. Yes, because otherwise, why would you change it? Oh, geez, Chad, I'm sorry. So, and Debbie, we will get to this in a second because that's going to be our last story. We're going to get to our last story. So they point out that you weren't allowed to, and she's saying that it wouldn't allow you to stack successive 120-day appointments. So she's saying you're not allowed to keep doing that. You can't just keep appointing new people. And that gets to the rest of what she's going to discuss. This violates the appointment clause, and they're arguing that violates that. So from there, it is, and then, that's once she already says that this wasn't proper, then it violates the appointments clause. Once Part A happens, should she have been Attorney General? No, then it violates the appointments clause because you can't be appointed. If you're not appointed and there's no authority otherwise to do it, you're not appointed. That's pretty kind of straightforward in the logic there. And then the dismissal is appropriate. Now, what does she say here? It renders unlawful all of her purported actions as void ab initio, meaning everything she did is a nullity. It does not exist. It can't be used. And she says that she was not lawfully exercising her executive power, and she says, I agree. And yeah, if that's how she looks at it, she has to do that. So she was exercising power she didn't lawfully possess, is what the argument she's making there. And that an officer must be properly appointed before they can act. Well, that's true. If you're gonna hold to that, she says, I conclude all actions following Lindsay Halligan's effective appointment, including securing and signing Comey's indictment, constitute an unlawful exercise of power and must be set aside. Same thing for Letitia James. Therefore, there's no alternative. But she says, what's the result? None is persuasive. You can't fix it. And they say that she obtained the indictment as an attorney for the government. Well, that still doesn't help. They argue about the October 31st order, which is to retroactively appoint her to the additional special attorney position. Yeah, and this is where it becomes a problem for her. It says, although the Attorney General has the power to appoint subordinate officers to assist, and she can appoint special attorneys, there is no authority allowing the Attorney General to reach back in time and rewrite the terms of a past appointment. Now, if that had been set up that way, that may have been enough. But you didn't do it. You can't go retroactively and backfill. And nor can the variation between the orders be dismissed as a paperwork error, because, yeah, there's quite a bit of a difference there. Because the October 31st order is to appoint her to an entirely different position under entirely different statutes. So, yeah, it's not like just, oh, I meant A and now B. Nope. Doesn't work. And it's regardless of what the Attorney General intended or could have done, the fact remains that Lindsay Halligan was not authorized by law to conduct grand jury proceedings when she secured the indictment. So she was basically operating without the authority to do so. And even if she lacked the authority, the government says, well, wait, she'd be entitled to de facto validity. And yeah, that's not going to work here. She says, I'm not buying that. Those are just non-constitutional appointments challenges. And this happened in a case where there was an out-of-district judge assigned to replace a presiding judge who had fallen ill. And if you're already appointed to another district, you're a judge de facto, so it's okay. But this isn't the case. She wasn't the U.S. attorney somewhere else. It came in and filled in. So, yeah. That's a problem there. And that's what she's holding. And it keeps going here. So she's like, what do we do? Well, the court said, hey, the grand jury's independent decision doesn't work. Because harmless error doesn't work here because it's a structural defect. Remember, if it's a structural defect, it's not harmless error because she exercised power she didn't possess. And then she says ultimately that even if this happens, the Attorney General ratified it. It's like, yeah, that doesn't work. It's too late. That's not, yeah. It doesn't work. The judge saying can't go back in time. Now, she gets to dismissal will be without prejudice. This is the actual remedy. What do we do here? Well, it says primarily relying on the Ninth Circuit decision where there's another case where this happens. Comey wants to dismiss it with prejudice. And so the government says, please don't do that. But what she says, ultimately, I believe the Supreme Court's appointment clause jurisprudence provides the answer to the with or without prejudice question. And the cases that were cited, the court essentially unwound the actions and restored the affected party to their position before being subjected. Which in one case, you got a hearing before a properly appointed panel. In the Lucia case, there was a remedy for an adjudication tainted with appointments is a new hearing before a properly appointed official. They also talk about other cases here that a judge who is ineligible to sit was remanded for fresh consideration of appeals by a properly constituted panel. She's like, I'll do the same. I'll invalidate the Ultra Vires Act performed by Lindsay Halligan and dismiss the indictment without prejudice, returning Jim Comey to the status he had previously. So what happened? Lindsay Halligan is not properly appointed. It's a defective appointment. Therefore, the ratifications are ineffective and are hereby set aside. Comey's motion to dismiss is granted. The motion is dismissed. The indictment is dismissed without prejudice. And it says the power to appoint an interim U.S. attorney lies with the district court because it's outside the 120-day window. By Cameron, McGowan, and Curry, the U.S. Judge appointed to do this. So what do we do from here? What does this mean? Well, it doesn't mean they're over. It doesn't mean they walk. What does this mean? Well, once again, this is just the DOJ kind of bubble fucking their way through stuff. Do I think this is correct? I don't know. But they're not over yet, and there's ways they can do this. They could probably appoint somebody at this point now, but they're going to appeal this because they don't want the case law to go against them. But I still think they can operate in addition of this. But once again, this is kind of one of the things the Trump administration does, bumble fucking their way through stuff. But what does this mean ultimately? When James Comey's not done, because here's, kind of what you can do. Here's what, indictments and information dismissed after a period of limitations. So here is what the statute says. Obviously, James Comey is going to say this doesn't apply, but the DOJ is going to say it does apply. So it's 18 U.S.C. 3288. And it says, whatever indictment or charging felony is dismissed for any reason after the period prescribed by the applicable statute of limitations has expired, meaning if you get indicted before your statute of limitations is over, the case keeps running. Well, what happens if you get dismissed after that point? Is that automatically over? No. It says a new indictment may be returned in the appropriate jurisdiction within 6 calendar months of the date of dismissal of the indictment or information, or in the event of an appeal, within 60 days of the dismissal of the indictment or information becomes final. Or, and we don't have to worry about all that because we're here at this one. 60 days within the dismissal of the indictment or information. So there you go. They have time. They have time to work on this, and they have time to figure this out. Now, they point out, though, this section does not permit the filing of a new indictment or information where the reason for dismissal was the failure to file the indictment or information within the period prescribed by the statute of limitations or some other reason that would bar a new prosecution. Well, there's nothing here that would bar a new prosecution. So, it's not over. It's not over. But for right now, it is. But hey, you know what? They got 6 months to figure it out. So, I would argue they're fine. There's nothing that prohibited them from trying this again. So people are upset, panicking. Hey, you know what? There's still time to work on it. There is still time to work on it. I'm not worried. But once again, remember, part of the problem is you're dealing with Lindsay Halligan, who, as I pointed out in the Letitia James case, is so fucking retarded she couldn't shut up and leave a reporter alone. She had to have a fight with a reporter on the over fucking Signal about things in an article. So as much as I like to say, oh, hey, we can figure this out, I mean, I like to think they could, but these guys have not impressed me with not acting like fucking retards and spurging out. So we'll find out. Maybe, maybe not. I mean, if you have to place your bets, I'm not betting on them. So just the way it is, chat. Just the way it is. Just the way it is, chat. Let's see here. Catch up on some stuff here. Jefferson Post saying, so with no U.S. attorney, should the Attorney General have indicted? Well, they could have appointed a special prosecutor. So, I don't know. But they didn't. So, they fucked around and kind of half-assed it. And I don't understand why they had to. Like, they had time to work on stuff. But once again, Pam Bondi's a tard. Trump has done some decent appointments, but God, he picked a retarded Attorney General. I said that from the beginning. I was not thrilled with Pam Bondi, but hey, such is life. Updates on the, this is where we're going to kind of end for the night. The guy out in D.C. who attacked the National Guardsman is come to one of the National Guardsmen from West Virginia is dead. Died today. It's officially confirmed. Last night they were confirmed as both being dead. Now it's only one. The other one is in critical condition, still fighting for their life. But we learned that as the guy, and this is where, once again, this guy has a name allegedly, but I mean, it's like Ramanala Lakanwal. I don't know how you pronounce all that. Maybe it's right, maybe it's wrong. He's just a faggot ass bitch boy. That's all you need to know him by. So anyway, this is him. Look at him. I mean, he looks like he sucks a million miles of dick for a living. He probably does because he's a little bitch. But anyways, we learned a lot that this guy was part of like some super secret, not even super secret, but he was a highly trained like Afghan commando. So this wasn't even just some bitch who like ran away on the airplane to and hid, but this is a guy who didn't want to stand and fight. So anyway, he gets on the plane, he gets out, and he's part of some Afghan commando group that we had trained and vetted. So this guy was already vetted. But remember, you read about the blue on green attacks that kept happening all the time in Afghanistan. And we bring this guy here in 2021. He stays, and then he gets allowed to stay officially in 2025. But if we're trying to vet these people, and we can't even vet super secret squirrel guy, how the fuck are we going to be able to vet any of these people? We can't. Yes, yeah, apparently he's an interior decorator who killed a bunch of Chechens, to quote Tony Soprano. But yeah, now there's some concern. This guy, his brother, was involved in fucking ISIS-K in the Khorasan group. ISIS-K, not like Special K. They're not a Christian rock band. I don't know. God, I don't know how many people are going to get that joke. But anyway, yeah, this is... how did we fucking let this guy in? If we can't confirm people, we can't even vet people like this. Why, the idea is oh, Trump fucked up the vetting. It's well, then we really shouldn't be vetting people, should we? We don't know who the fuck we're letting in. We need to restart this whole thing over again. And guess what? We're not going to be able to figure out half these people from fucking Afghanistan because you can't vet in Afghanistan. We bring these people over when most of these people don't care about the Taliban. It's them fighting a different tribal group and was using the U.S. to help them fight a different tribal group. But hey, you know what? I'm sure people out there are going to say this is okay because, hey, we saved La Heckin' Immigrinos. And, sometimes when you plane a piece of wood, the chips go flying. And who are the chips? It sounds like American citizens will be the chips. But, we're not going to explain why. It's just, oh, well, this happens, I guess. And Debbie O for $20 says the Rapid Response 47 repost from Trump on immigration around 11:30. I can get behind this. Too bad I don't see it happening. Well, I don't. Let me see what that is because I didn't get a chance to pull it up yet. So hold on. But let's see here. Rapid. I'm not gonna lie though. This whole having a Twitter page called Rapid Response 47. This is kind of cringe. I'm not saying you're cringe, Debbie. I'm saying having it titled all this shit. It's just have it come out of the White House account, But it's the QRF for things. It's I don't know. I just think it's kind of goofy. So this is okay. So this must be it here. All right. We're not going to read this yet. So here we go. This is one of the most important messages ever released by President Trump. Read every word. Okay. Like I said, I voted for Trump. All that. But it's really? Really? This is one of the most important messages ever released by Trump. This is going to be it. Okay. You're all right, fine. Let's take a look at it. What is it? It's a fucking wall of text. Oh my God. I want the fucking TLDR of this shit already. Okay. So, oh, chat. I just don't fucking know. I just don't fucking know. Let's start. Very happy Thanksgiving salutation to all our great American citizens and patriots who have been so nice to allow our country to be divided, disputed, carved up, murdered, beaten, mugged, and laughed at, along with certain other foolish countries throughout the world for being politically correct and just plain stupid when it comes to immigration. Okay, well, the official United States foreign population stands at 53 million people, and that's something that actually is correct because it's not just like there's not like 10 million immigrants. That's a number they keep banning about from the 80s, but yes, 53 million people. Most of which are on welfare from failed nations or from prisons, mental institutions, gangs, or drug cartels. They and their children are supported through massive payments from the patriotic American citizens who, because of their beautiful hearts, do not want to openly complain or cause trouble in any way, shape, or form. Well, okay. They put up with what's happened to our country, but it's eating them alive to do so. Okay, well, yeah, sure. I'm a silent majority. A migrant with earning $30,000 with a green card will roughly get $50,000 a year in benefits for their family. Yeah. The real migrant population is much higher. The refugee burden is leading to cause of social dysfunction in America, something that did not exist after World War II. Failed schools, high crime, urban decay, overcrowded hospitals, housing shortages, and large deficits. Yeah, but America, yeah, well, don't disagree there. As an example, hundreds of thousands of refugees in Somalia are completely taking over the once great state of Minnesota. Well, yeah, well, the commies in Minnesota want that to happen. So, like, Minnesota's orchestrated its own downfall. Somali gangs are roaming the streets looking for prey as our wonderful people stay locked in their apartments and houses, hoping they will be left alone. The seriously retarded governor, okay, seriously retarded. If you're seriously retarded, is that better than jokingly retarded? But hey, you know what? I'll go with this. Yes, Tim Walz is seriously retarded. We'll work with that. That part's based. That part here, chat, yes, has been fact-checked by true American patriots. Tim Walz is seriously retarded. He is 100% retarded. I agree. Does nothing either through fear, incompetence, or both. While the worst congresswoman in our country, Ilhan Omar, always wrapped in her swaddling hijab, who probably came to the U.S. illegally, in that you are not allowed to marry your brother. Based. Okay. Once again, fact-checked is true by real patriots. It's now in his wiki. Okay, yeah. Does nothing but hatefully complain about our country, its constitution, how badly she is treated when her place of origin is a decadent, backward, and crime-ridden nation was essentially not even a country for lack of government, military, police, and schools. Well, they do actually have a government in Somalia now, so. All right, so some of these comments were true. All right, so what else is he saying here? Even as we progress technologically, immigration policies eroded those gains and living conditions for many. I will permanently pause immigration from all third world. Stop. I will permanently pause immigration from all third world countries to allow the U.S. system to fully recover, terminate all the millions of Biden illegal admissions, including those signed under the auto pen. Well, once again, guys, the auto pen shit is a non-starter. If it's signed under an auto pen, it's all done. It's all done. Can't do anything about that. And then also here, I'm going to permanently pause all immigration from third world countries. Yeah, I'll believe it when I see it. And that's assuming some judge doesn't say it's illegal. But once again, I'll believe it when I see it. And remove anyone who's not an asset in the United States or is capable of loving our country, and all federal benefit and subsidies to non-citizens of our country. Okay, well, once again, I'll believe it when I see it. I don't believe it right now. I don't believe it. Yeah, you may have voted for this, but is it going to happen? Probably. Like, I'm just telling you, it ain't going to happen. Ain't happening. Denaturalize Mike, once again, I'm sure somebody will whisper something about Israel and he'll worry about that instead. Who undermine domestic tranquility. Okay. Deport any foreign national who's a public charge security risk or not compatible with Western civilization. These goals are being pursued with the achieving a major reduction in illegal and disruptive populations. Only reverse migration can fully cure the situation. Okay, based. Yeah, but that's not going to happen. Other than that, happy Thanksgiving to all, except those that hate, steal, murder, and destroy everything that America stands for. You won't be here for long. That's not going to happen. So, county death squads. I voted for death squads, and all I got were anti-Semitism laws. Yes, I voted for Serbian paramilitary groups, and all I got were, Marjorie Taylor Greene acting like a retard. So just pause all immigration. Yeah, but that's not going to work. And number one, he says that, but then he talks out his mouth about, but we still need the H-1Bs to come in. So, he says that, but then he talks out his mouth about that shit. So he says if it's not going to happen, guys, like I said, not going to happen. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. So, yeah, you may look at the bitch boy faggot who shot at the guardsman and say, well, we need to stop doing we can't vet. We shouldn't be allowing people in. Yeah, but once again, wish in one hand, shit in the other. Which one's going to fill up fast? So, there you go. Not trying to, just telling you guys. Just telling you, you can sit there and be mad and piss and shit and re-and-scree. But it is what it is, chat. As much as I hate that phrase, it is what it is, and this ain't going to be it. This ain't going to be it. So, Debbie, my thoughts, I agree, but yeah, I can't get behind that. Too bad I don't see it happening. Once again, Debbie, I fully agree with you. Ain't gonna happen. Ain't happening. Ain't happening as much as you want it to happen. Of all the things that are gonna happen, chat, this is not one of them. Yeah. EDWR says it do be like that, Mr. Martin. Yes, I'm telling you it do be like that. It do be like that, chat. It do be like that. Justin Haas says, are you a member of the Auto Pen 15 Club? Very funny. Very, very, very funny. Very funny. Oh, very, very funny. Yeah. And about bringing in all the Chinese students to prop up the U.S. Commie Farm universities. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, he says all that, but then he's not. Yeah. So I'm not holding out hope, chat. Not holding out hope. Let's see. Sean, nothing does really happen, does it? Yeah, most of the time it does not. As much as you want it to, it never happens. County Death Squad said he saw his poll numbers and those of his backed candidates and is panicking. Oh, I'm sure. But I mean, I think at the end of the day, as much as people want to say there'll be a massive blue wave, I don't think it's going to be what they think it's going to be. I think we're going to be in a détente situation where, the Democrats make some gains, but I think they're going to have a lot of problems here. Because notice, they're really good at fucking things up themselves. Like, they fucked up the Epstein list shit so badly. So badly. Final Revolution says, it do how it be. Yes. People don't think the universe be like it is. People don't think it be like it is. But it do. Very, very famous quote. I wish that guy had been recorded when he said that, the Yankees player. Sounds like you're getting beta. I'm just telling you the truth, man. Just, I could tell you the right answer. I could tell you the honest answer. I could tell you I could gas you up and tell you, yeah, they're all going back, chat. They all aren't. They all aren't. I mean, do you want me to lie to you? I don't. If people can't buy milk, the GOP is going to lose bigly. Yeah. Okay, DM Press says, okay, imagine watching videos of powerful old rich men raping 11-year-old girls and thinking, I'm going to help cover this up. She must be dead inside. Hashtag Pam Bondi. Yeah. Oh, I'm sure that's probably how to do that, so YouTube didn't catch it. Yeah, it do be like that. It do be like that. You act like there's even videos. Well, there probably were videos, and I'm sure after multiple administration, FBI, yeah, multiple administrations worth of FBI officials have been handling it. I'm sure every year, every administration that touched it fucked with it a little bit more. So remember, it goes back a while. You know, we're now 4 separate administrations have handled that shit. Would have handled that shit or had access to it. 4 separate ones. So imagine what's happened to it. Imagine what's happened to that. So I'm sure Bill Clinton has them all. Yeah. Yeah. So there you go. There you go, chat. Anyways, hate to break your bubble. Hate to burst your bubble on Black Friday, but yeah, you guys have fun with that. You guys have fun with that. Kurt from Uncivil Law. Kurt, how you doing, brother? Hope you're doing well. Kurt says, friend of the show, friend of the channel, friend of mine, says, happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to you too, Kurt. Hope you and yours are doing well. If you saw Nate, like I said, if you see Nate coming up here in the next day or two, tell him I said I hope he's well. And it's shot out a text to him, and hope he's doing all right. So Nate says hi. He is doing pretty great right now. Good. Well, that's awesome. If you guys haven't seen that yet, Nate the lawyer, Nate Brody, went in for emergency surgery this week. Battled through it like a champ. Right now, they're biopsying all the stuff that's going on with him. If you guys saw, he did a live stream this week on Wednesday. He's back. So if you guys want to see how he's doing, take a look at that. It's a really good show. It's really uplifting. It's good to see him. It's good to see him. It's good to hear him talking, and it's good to hear him, compared to like that clip of him right before he went into surgery versus the clip from Wednesday. You're like, fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. So, once again, not out of the woods yet. So say, Nate was funny as fuck on the stream. He was. And I was a little bummed out I couldn't get to it, but when Nate put out the link to the Laid Back Law people, I popped in there. I was going to leave a message, and Nate was already on there hanging out with Eric Hunley, and they were both on there, so I talked with them a couple minutes before it started. And, Nate's doing great. I'm happy for him, and I'm thrilled that, he was able to spend Thanksgiving with his family at home. And, positive thoughts, guys, positive thoughts, positive prayers for Nate. I still wish he woke up speaking Cantonese. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that. Armand has been a member for 11 months. Says, we're thankful for Nate fighting the good fight. Yes. Yes, we are. We are thankful. Thankful he's still here. Thankful he's here for his wife, for his kids, and everybody in his life that appreciates him. Thankful that he's here for all of them. So. And they extracted the lib from the Nate. He has been healed. Well, no, I just think now that he's operating with now he's operating without that in his head. I was just thinking he's going to kick Joe's ass even more. That's what I was thinking was going to happen to him. So, oh, buddy. So, well, and Tim Pool is saying, neurosurgery, like in the past 10 years, yes, but neurosurgery from like year to year to year to year fucking makes like massive advancements. So that's a great thing. Let's see here. Just catching up on everything else. No. So we're all done. All right, chat. We're all done. Like I said, told you I'm not going to hear to gas. I don't gas you up. I tell you what's going to happen or what's not going to happen. So just deal with it. Just deal with it. So with that said, chat, we are going to be heading over to locals, potentiallycriminal.locals.com. Use the promo code FALL2025 to come hang out with us. We're going to hang out over there, do the after show. It's already 12:30. We got to roll. So, all right, chat, happy Thanksgiving. I will see you guys. We're going to have some fun this weekend. And remember, until next time, chat, just because you did it does not mean you're guilty. Unless you're Adolf Hitler in Namibia and you're guilty of winning the election. So, good night, chat, and I will see you guys over on Locals. And once again, happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there. And yeah. Good night, guys. Take care.
Weapons, blacksmithing, and models of planes, esoteric works, and even some trains. Much merriment had while drinking White Claws, tips on hunting, and even talking the law. Whatever you do, just don't talk to cops, even when they nab you on illegal stops. Just 'cause you did it doesn't mean you're guilty, but please talk to a local attorney. Was that the